Sprint cars are the purest form of motorsports on the planet. For the past 19 years, the All-Star Circuit of Champions have offered this brand of raw winged warfare to Middle America. In 1998, the United Express Line GM Powertrain Tour encompassed 13 states and 33 speedways, expanding to South Dakota, 1,000 events, and more 10,000-to-win races than ever before. Over the course of the season, one never knew who would appear as 444 drivers signed in. And in keeping with All-Star tradition, one never knew who would win those 63 races, as evidenced by the 17 men fortunate enough to do so. Hello, video viewers. I'm Kevin Eckert of Trackside Publications, talking to you from the California studio of Jeff Christensen. Jeff and his 5 fellow cameramen squeezed 9 months of All-Star tape into 4.5 hours, scripted by myself, beginning in 3, 2, 1.
Florida Speed Weeks once again peeled the lid off the 19th annual All-Star Circuit of Champions. For the first time since 1989, dirt was back on the VCS half mile. On the other side of the property, the 4-year-old third mile had been blacktop. 41 teams lined up at the third version of Volusia to begin the 98 All-Star season. Defending king Frankie Kerr was back with Stan Shope's brown-powered Eagle aimed at a 5th championship. Two-time titleist Tim Hughes put his Kreiner J&J in the hands of the Ashworth battery of Kenny Jacobs and Barry Jackson. Warren Johnson's new U2 Gertie Doe-Melt device rolled from its United Express Line transporter for 89 Volusia victor Keith Kaufman. Dean Jacobs assumed brother Kenny's vacancy in the patriotic Kreiner Schnee of Denny Ashworth. Joey Saldana closed 97 with Steve Mox, and they opened their first full campaign in Joey's trademark Gertie Stealth. A fox was lurking in the All-Star hen house when Danny the Dude Wasowski arrived to fly an Eagle. Another new Eagle was the Kreiner-powered model fielded by Gary Beam for Todd Schaefer. Volusia attracted perennial part-time All-Stars and full-time lumberjacks Jerry Kinzer and Son Kelly. Maryland's Jeff Shepard ventured south with Les Stewart's Kreiner Maxim. Fast Freddie Raymer had an Ott J&J for his 3rd season with Al Hamilton, a '72 Florida winner. Lance DeWeese and Walter Dyer Masonry also have a history of success on the sandy Florida peninsula. Gary Wright talked McCreary's with Kelly Kinzer. Kevin Huntley was in the house to race for Findlay's Rick Doherty. New Jersey's Billy Pouch is always competitive in any class on either surface. Hopeful Pennsylvania rookie Judy Bates detailed the first of many wings to fly above her beautiful Gambler 121. Saldana and Kaufman attended the first of 63 drivers' meetings that Rick Nichols conducted in '98. The United Express Line first heat had the Stone 3S of Tim Schaefer inside Tommy Estes. From row 3, Kerr worked under Raymer before finding the new Volusia clay a bit unsettled. On the next try, Raymer raced inside the Archer 1A until another red dropped for Learnerville racer Brian Ellenberger, who tumbled to a stop with Tom Davies and Oklahoma's Glenn Passmore. Brian got good distance on a steering wheel toss. The first 4-abreast parade lap of the All-Star season was led by Keith Kaufman, Dean Jacobs, Kerr, and DeWeese. Wasowski was quick qualifier. Back in formation, Port Royalty filled the front row with Kaufman kicking out to an early edge. Keith opted for the top of turn 1, and DeWeese ducked low to reduce the U2 to the 2 spot.
Lance DeWeese gains the advantage as they head through turns number 1 and number 2. Here comes the U2 underneath as they go down the back chute. They are bumper to bumper as they go into turn number 3. Keith Kaufman high on the racetrack may give up the second position. Now he has the speed to the low side. Kaufman back in second. DeWeese in the 461 with the advantage. He pulls in on traffic as they head down the front straightaway. Now there's traffic in front of DeWeese. Slower cars, the 461 the leader. The 17 will pass Kaufman. Joey Saldana moves into the second position with the 17. Kaufman back to third. DeWeese, then the 17, Joey Saldana. Keith Kaufman in the U2. Shepard in the 4. Kaufman bounces up at turn number 2. It looks like he might give up the position, and here comes the 4. Jeff Shepard to move into the third slot. Now Kaufman back around the outside. Kaufman in the U2. Wheel to wheel with the car number 4. Down the front chute, Shepard in the 4J. With the advantage at turn number 1, it's Shepard.
Saldana spun from second on lap 8 and had his nose clipped by Pouch, who failed to finish.
Dean Jacobs on the move at a 92. Here comes Jacobs. Looking at Dean Jacobs in the white car, the 92. Now he's passed underneath by Shepard as they head down the back straightaway. They trade positions once again. Dean Jacobs working the top side. Shepard on the low side. Look at that pass right there. Dean Jacobs in the 92 car makes a pass again. Now he's got his sight set on Keith Kaufman. That's Dean Jacobs down the back chute. The U2 Keith Kaufman's trying to hold off Dean Jacobs. Behind him, Danny Lasowski getting in a picture. The front end comes off the ground on the car as they come down the front straightaway. Shepard in the 4 car, then Lasowski in the 1. They go through turn number 2 and down the back straightaway. The 461 is the leader. Dean Jacobs is second in the 92. Then it's the U2 Keith Kaufman. Here comes Kaufman underneath. Danny Lasowski makes a pass underneath Kaufman as Kaufman has to get off the throttle at turn number 2. Lasowski on the move. A heck of a run down the back straightaway. Lasowski coming underneath Dean Jacobs. Lasowski challenging for second.
The dude took over second place in turn 2 but bounced wide and allowed Dean to take it back. Into turn 3, Lasowski dove to the bottom, tried to get under Jacobs as they approached Jamie Smith in the number 5. Dean had the cleaner line off turn 2 to keep second spot. Lasowski swung around Smith and made another dive to the bottom of 3 as Dean bounced wide and gave up the second spot to Lasowski.
461, now he's got him in sight. There's only 3 car lengths between them. There's no car lengths between them. DeWeese in a 461, here comes a 1. Lasowski makes the pass and a new leader. Here's Lasowski, DeWeese to the inside. He knows he's got trouble right here.
10 years after his Volusia victory aboard the Fred Vance Trossel, Danny the Dude Lasowski was back in the winner's circle of the VCS half mile. Eagle operator Jerry Russell and Canadian crewman Al Stephen posed to the Dude's right. Lasowski and Shepard were set for the second Volusia evening, and Danny spoke of his fondness for Barberville ovals.
Dude, you pulled off another one. You've got a reign on this place over the years.
I tell you what, this place has been good to us. Back when it was Burt before, we won a couple, and then we come up here with Chris Black's new Eagle car, brought her out of the box. She was pretty good.
I'll tell you, I know you got an outlaw deal waiting for you, but boy, getting to run with Chris and win some all-star shows sure got to help the pocket a little bit.
Yeah, I tell you what, Chris does a good job. You know, he runs us out of his pocket, doesn't have a sponsor, and he does a great job. He's got a good car every time I get to run for him.
Quick time for his second night, Lasowski drew 6th to place Raymer and Saldana on the front. Kerr and Kenny Jacobs were row 2. Fast Freddy was not so fast and bottled up the bottom lane enough to free Lasowski around the rim.
Joey Saldana has the advantage from the outside pole position. Coming around the outside, Danny Lasowski. He's a madman on the run down the back straightaway, and he comes right in behind the 17 car to the outside at turn 4, and in one lap he goes from 6th to the lead. Danny Lasowski high on the racetrack at turn number 2. Down the back chute, he's got about a 10-car lead over Joey Saldana. Then it's Fred Raymer in the third slot of the 77. Frankie Kerr in the 23S down on the low side. Running into second position, The 17 closing the gap on Saldana is Freddie Raymer. Kenny Jacobs in the 94. Frankie Kerr in the 23 running in the 5th slot. A pass on Raymer by Jacobs. Jacobs tries him, gets in front. Here comes Kenny Jacobs trying it.
Smelling blood, Kerr pressured Raymer wide off the backstretch. Raymer continued to wrestle his racer down into turn 3 as Kerr attacked inside. Heading down into turn 1, Kerr pinned Freddie into the Bates Motel and assumed the spot. Into turn 3, Shepard shuffled Raymer one more spot back as he wiggled under Ohio 360 star Bobby Cart.
White flag waving, Lasowski, here he comes, a checkered flag coming, and there's a winner, Natty Lasowski, for 2 nights in a row.
A 3-time winner on the adjacent 3rd mile, the dude from Kansas City was again joined in victory lane by 88 Volusia midget racer Jerry Russell, creator of the car constructed and housed in Springfield, Illinois. If not for Friday rain, it could have been 3 straight for Lasowski and Chris Black, who pushed his car and chided its driver about a botched heat race.
Yeah, well, they were on me pretty bad about that. I'll tell you what, we've got a really good race car, really good motor, and a really good owner. And just a pleasure to drive the thing. This thing runs really good, and you can't ask it to do any more.
I'll tell you, it was a little bit easier the second night. The first night it took you 17 laps to get to the front. From 8th spot, you start 6th spot the second night, and high side all the way around to first lap, and you're leading coming around.
I was actually looking for the yellow light coming down the backstretch. I thought everybody shut the key off. You know, those things don't usually happen. You know, we come down the front straightaway, and there was enough room to go around Kenny Jacobs on the top, and I thought, well, I might as well try, because you get to racing here, everybody gets around at pretty much the same speed like the first night. I got pinned in, and it was with my car the way it is, I need open air to really be good, and just got lucky enough and got her done.
I'll tell you, everybody, all the drivers, owners, everybody's complaining about the Lasowski Benefit Fund, but sure looks like I'm sure you don't have any complaints with that.
Well, my baby needs shoes, and it's not born yet, so I got to get some money to get some, so I can buy him something when he comes out.
Billy Doherty guided in Frankie Kerr's car after the Chauve soldiers completed considerable work.
Yeah, the first night just got in the corner there and made a good start on the heat, and just caught a little rut and hit the inside fence, and then it went to crashing. And we didn't think it was as bad as it was. You know, in the first night we didn't finish very good, and we went home and to the parking lot there and had the porta power out and the torch, and got her fixed up pretty well and ran 5th.
Building race cars and parking lots again, huh?
It was a bare frame. We had the motor out and bent the motor plates and bent the frame, and we had a lot of work to do, but it turned out to be okay.
Everybody has said it, even yourself, that that's usually the way your Florida series starts, but the regular season usually ends up pretty good for you, though.
Yeah, Florida usually doesn't go real well. You know, especially at East Bay, that's one of my worst places I think I ever run. But hopefully this year it'll change, and got all of our bad luck out of the way.
Dean Jacobs flew the American flag through hot wax. Pouch set the Zemco Maxim and unleashed Davy Brown's horses. Wysota champion Travis Whitney had just established the 5th fastest qualifying run when his world went dark.
Oh, the wing has collapsed on the car. He probably can't see a whole lot.
Lasowski peaked at 14-16 and drew another 8 to post the front row of DeWeese and Kerr. Whitney was outside Raymer in row 2.
And a green flag flies, and we're off and running. Lance DeWeese with the advantage, but Frankie Kerr's coming around the outside. They're wheel to wheel, out of action, and into turn number 3. Kerr with a bit of an advantage as they come to turn number 4. Can he do it? They come to the checker, to the green, to the green, to the green, and it is. Here comes the 94, Kenny Jacobs forward, Freddie Raymer, and the 4J, Jeff Shepard.
Dean Jacobs from 10th spot made a sweep around Whitney and then made a dive under Raymer to take 6th place.
Frankie Kerr out front of the 23S off turn number 4. Coming to the outside, Lasowski goes to the low side on Lance DeWeese as they head down into turn number 1. Last Deweese to the 1 car down on the low side. Gary Wright on the high side. There are 3 cars bunched up as they come underneath the 8. Last Deweese, Lasowski comes at her now. Gary Wright and Lasowski goes to the low side as they come off turn number 1. Lasowski wheel to wheel as they go into turn number 1. He's side by side with Lance Deweese. Deweese a little bit high, and he gets the advantage as they come out of turn number 2. Danny Lasowski to the low side at turn number 3. He tries it one more time. Down low, here he comes. Danny Lasowski on the move, in the hunt, the caution out.
Brian Paul was stopped in turn 2 to force Lasowski to give second back to Deweese. On the restart, Kerr dropped down to the brown and then wandered wide to Kerr Lance as Lasowski searched the speedway.
Lots of laps left. Look at here comes Shepard on the move in the 4J. He's moved up to 5th. Jacobs way wide on the racetrack's going to lose 2 or 3 positions. Lasowski down low makes a pass on Lance Deweese, and Deweese is back to second. Danny Lasowski is moved up to second. Halfway right here.
Shepard got a great burst off the bottom and carried him by Wright for 4th place, and then he continued by Deweese for 3rd. Lance wandered wide and gave up another spot to Wright. Danny got a great Westmar run around the top of turns 3 and 4 to draw abreast of Kerr and then assume the lead of his 3rd straight program.
Gary Wright working the 9 car on the high side. Shepard down on the low side of the 4J. Mikey Kerr using the middle of the racetrack with a 23. Gary Wright trying to get around the outside. He's got good momentum going as they head down the front straightaway. They're 3 wide up to turn number 1. At turn number 2, they're 3 wide coming out and down the back straightaway. Into the 3rd turn. The 4 car, Jeff Shepard, is now second. Frankie Kerr fades back. Gary Wright trying to move forward. Jeff Shepard is second in the 4J. Out of turn number 2, Gary Wright on the top side, racing wheel to wheel with Frankie Kerr. They go into turn number 3. The 9, Gary Wright. The 23S, Frankie Kerr, off turn 4. And again, wheel to wheel, side by side, a whole lap. They still Gary Wright up top. Frankie Kerr and move his car into the 3rd position. The 9 car, Gary Wright, was really running fine. And then something gave up on the sprint car. Here it is, 2 laps. Lasowski in the 1, puts a hammer down. Jeff Shepard goes to the low side. Can he do it? No. Dean Jacobs moves into the 3rd position of the 92. He's battling with Frankie Kerr. It's Lasowski down the back chute, and the dirt flies as the white flag comes out this time by Lasowski, wide out of turn 4. He's doing it, giving it everything he's got. Through turn number 1, he does not lift the throttle down the back chute. Into turn number 3, Danny Lasowski. 3rd time is a charm. There's a checkered flag.
Lasowski had now triumphed in 20 All-Star events, which is remarkable considering his limited attendance. Lance Deweese pushed out of Volusia as Oklahoma's David Chappell rolled in. United Express Line's Butch Johnson personally sponsored the B main, won by Sarah Fisher. Butch and Bert Emick posed with Sarah, a teenager at ease with flinging GM powertrain frisbees. The All-Star Point Parade officially began without time trials as the week's top 6 were automatically inverted. The remaining 9 rows were formed through point handicapped heat races, plus the B main hooked by Fisher.
A 30-lap feature coming your way. Here they come, off turn number 4. Oh, they're tangled up. Keith Kaufman tangled a mess at the 4th turn. Oh, my goodness gracious. Oh. Keith Kaufman got sideways as they came off at turn number 4, and I don't think I've ever seen anything like that.
Kaufman went sideways into the path of 11 cars that stacked up as Huntley hurled a collection of casualties parked by DeWeese, Clark, Tim Schaefer, Jack Hewitt, Bob Felmy, and John Bankston.
Todd Schaefer takes the field around in the car number 88. Here they come through turn number 3. 92 on the outside. Here they come, and off and running. A great flag flies. Todd Schaefer with the advantage in the 88 car as we get underway. Down the back straightaway, it's Schaefer. Then Kenny Jacobs in the 94, jumping into the second slot. He's followed by Jeff Shepard in the 4. Schaefer in the 88, moving up on traffic. Kenny Jacobs has closed the gap. Jacobs in the 94, down to the low side over at turn number 2, and he takes over the lead. And we have a new leader, Kenny Jacobs in the 94. Now it's Jeff Shepard in the 4J, moving into the second position around Schaefer. Schaefer in the 88, and Lasowski is about ready to make his move. And here comes the 4J, Judy Bates in the 121, a lap car in between. Kenny Jacobs gets around Bates and leaves everybody. Uh-oh, the 4J is going to spin off of turn number 1. And the caution will come out. Here they come. White flag will fly this time. One more time around. Kenny Jacobs in the 94 for turn number 2. Down the back straightaway's got 2 more corners. Through turn 3, turn 4, checkered flag out. Kenny Jacobs going to win it.
Faithful Hughes crewman Todd Palmer and Frankie Thompson flanked the boss and the pilot, who won the initial Volusia All-Star event in '83. Kenny repeated the previous year's Hughes pattern of dropping each VCS prelim prior to bagging $5,000. Florida's Winter Nationals have raged through Tampa for half a century, and for the past 21 years, East Bay has been the center of the cyclone.
Standing with me here, the driver of the Hughes Motorsports number 94, Kenny Jacobs. Kenny, you managed to break the Lasowski hold at Volusia County last week.
Well, Danny, the track just came around for us. We felt like our car was pretty fast all week. We just kept putting the wrong tire on every night for the feature and kind of got ourselves behind. And we just really put our heads together on Sunday night there and put the right stuff on, and the car was really fast.
I'll tell you, you picked a fine night to do it. You hung around the top 5 all week. Come big money night, there you are, standing there in victory lane with a big check.
Well, I hope we can do it again this week, and it'll be a pretty good trip down here.
I tell you, it seems like you got a knack for this, but here you are starting off with a new team again this year, and right off the bat, you guys are clicking already.
Well, I have a good team there with Barry Jackson, Todd Palmer, Frank Thompson. Tim Hughes just put these guys together, and it seems that it's going to be a great team, and I'm really looking forward to this year. It looks like we're working pretty good together. It's going to be a good year for us.
United Racing Club king Shawn Michael made a shattering all-star debut.
That's a new track record, 12.764. A new track record for Shawn Michael.
In the first corner of the B, John Bankston from Texas tasted the fence. Kerr and Huntley contested the last transfer spot until Missouri's Joe Houck got loose off turn 4 and drove Frankie into the inside trench. Kerr's agony of DNQ defeat came one day after his thrill of victory in the J.W. Hunt Memorial Golf Classic. Michael officially ended the B when the Mulligan 3 turned upside down on Sport Allen. As a teenager, Sport inspired Jeff Gordon to begin sprint car racing 13 Winter Nationals ago. Jim Neer made his '98 All-Star debut on the front of the 4 abreast with Shepard, DeWeese, and Pouch. Wednesday's Wild Bunch was ready to go green. Dave Yanks dialed Shepard onto the pole below the Zemco Maxim that he once maintained for Pouch. Quickest on the draw was Billy the Kid on his way to the bottom of turn 1.
These are the best in the East as they go down. Billy Pouch has the lead. Frenchtown, New Jersey's Billy Pouch.
Terry McCarl took his Westmar Twister outside of Michael's Harz furniture wagon down the front and swept around Sean, exiting the second turn of the second lap.
Billy Pauch, Jeff Shepard, Lance Deweese running third, Jimmy Neer, Terry McCarl now moves up into fourth.
Shepard slid into the first corner under Pauch, who then jerked a big wheel stand and ripped back by Jeff as they covered the back chute. Shepard pulled back the challenge as they approached Todd Schaefer.
A battle for the lead as Jeff Shepard and Lance Deweese had both closed in on Billy Pauch in lap traffic. On the outside, Jeff Shepard makes a move on Billy Pauch. Shepard around the outside. And Pauch cuts him off.
Estes impacted his Comp USA Schnee in the back wall and then tumbled back to get clipped by Lasowski and DeWeese as Felmley split the center. Lance popped a tire in the incident, so his brother Kirk swapped the tire that put them on the tail by club rule.
Shepard on the outside of Billy Pauch, backs right away. Shepard running up on the bumper down to the inside of Billy Pauch. Shepard on the outside, Billy Pauch on the inside. Shepard, side by side, and Jeff Shepard, and Pauch cut him off. Oh yeah, wow. Down this time in the checkered flag, Billy Pauch on the inside, Jeff Shepard gonna try him one more time on the outside. It's Billy Pauch.
Silver Spring King Dave Cowman and speed shop proprietor John Zamatis posed with Pauch after Billy's fourth win in 5 Winter Nationals.
And all the staff and a special thank you to Dana Baird up topside and Gene Lynch for always an outstanding job.
The motorhome village was thick with Northerners eager to escape the cold for some hot sprint car action. Zemco Wings have buzzed 10 straight Winter Nationals, the last 7 with Billy Pauch.
Well, you had to work for that one. If you officially led all 30, but I don't know if you led all 30 all the way around the track. Jeff sure gave you a lot of pressure last night.
Nah, he definitely passed me a couple of times. We crossed him over and passed him back, and we were neck and neck a few times. He was right there the whole time. I mean, he was running pretty good. He was a little bit faster on the top. When we got lap traffic, that kind of hurt me. I was a little too tight on the top, and he was a little bit freer. We were better on the bottom. I think in clear traffic, we had him covered. We'd pull away, but once we got in lap traffic, we were a little too tight.
I'll tell you, Billy, it seems like over the years you've had a little bit of success down here at East Bay, and last night just added to it.
Yeah, we usually get around here pretty good. You know, I don't know what it is. Pretty low racy place, and I mean, I've been in a lot of different tracks down here in Florida. And I think this is probably kind of the best dirt track they've got.
There were 57 trailers parked at East Bay. The first of those 57 to qualify was Kerr, who slowed upon detecting a vibration. Sure enough, Frank watched a wheel depart his right front corner. Shawn Michael held the track record just 24 hours until DeWeese dropped it down another notch. Thursday sundown on the Sunshine State. Brian Carlson spun in the last chance race to be drilled by fellow Indiana resident, ageless Johnny Johnson. McCarl led the Southwest Express Line third heat until a steering problem carried him close to the wall. Terry tentatively headed down the backstretch before a broken tie rod turned him into the path of Todd Kane. Todd nearly tipped over against his left rear tire. Unable to fire for his heat, DeWeese was forced to the sea, where he passed Raymond Shank and Alan Winker in one burst, then parked Wisconsin's Dan Dietrich to run down Bates. Lance stood behind the KSE Racing Products banner with All-Star brass. A splash of methanol, and DeWeese was back to war with McCarl for B-main supremacy. Terry managed to keep the new track record holder behind him until they approached turn 3. Another good crowd had gathered in East Bay's new expanded bleachers. Raymer was positioned on the pole inside Schaefer and ahead of Shepard and Saldana, McCarl and DeWeese. Freddie was off and running over his fellow Pennsylvania posse members. After 7 circuits, Schaefer tried to squeeze under Raymer as DeWeese took third away from Shepard. Fred tried to hold Todd down, but contact resulted, enabling Lance to leap at the chance to lead. Raymer then pulled beside Schaefer and used a Fisher pick to retrieve second place. After falling from first to third, Todd drifted across Sarah's nose to send her hard into the fence. On lap 9, Kaufman and Kenny Jacobs spun across turn 4 as Art Wendt got airborne and attracted Danny Smith and Bill Bailey. Arthur was a big all-star winner with Saldana in '95. While Wendt upset in turn 4, backstretch traffic found Dean Jacobs hopping Huntley and folding his front end. Two of the Quaker State's fastest cars squared off as Raymer attempted to circle the Brickmobile. Exiting turn 4, Raymer pulled his wheels in the air and Lance escaped on Hoosier rubber. 5 laps later, Schaefer continued to fall as Shepard swung around him down the front stretch and rode away with third place. DeWeese completed the sweep by setting fast time and winning C, B, and A mains. Winner of the '88 Winter Nationals with Paul O'Teer and the '95 edition with Lance, Walt Dyer brought his boxer Sugar Ray to the party. Modified legend Will Cagle was the new man in charge of his hometown East Bay Speedway, but soon after, Gene Lynch was summoned to steer the ship for Stanley Colin. Friday's rainout affected the approach of Saturday's stars.
Lance, you had a great night on Thursday night. What about tonight? This racetrack seems to have changed conditions now. Both nights you got to race Wednesday and Thursday, the track was different, but your car is fast both nights.
Yeah, we're real good right now. Last year the weather changed this track on the final night, and hopefully it won't throw a mixture or something in here we're not prepared for. But all in all, I feel pretty confident about our deal. We're going to be starting late back in the feature, a little bit farther back than we'd like because of our point system, but we'll go to the front.
All right, Lance, that's the question I was going to ask next. Since you are starting back in the field a little ways, this is a 50-lap race on a short speedway at East Bay here. Do you plan to hold your own for a while or go for the front early on?
I plan on leading as quick as I can because they're sprint car racing, and that's what it's all about. You never can lag back and wait, but we're going to try to get to the front in a hurry and try to get out front and try to get away from the rest of the guys.
During the B, former mini-sprint stars Dan Brettnacher and Shawn Michael exchanged wheels, with Shawn knocking down some of Cagle's boards. Same deal as Volusia, no time trials, best 6 inverted, this time for 50 laps and 10 grand to win. Near occupied the Butler-built pole position inside Joe Gertie's Holbrook Eagle, which sliced Jim into the first corner. Near braked and pushed wide enough to allow Wright to get underneath. It was first to third for Jim as McCarl tried to sneak around Raymer, who swung wide and did not cooperate. Near put his all-pro powered Gambler inside Gertie on lap 9 and tried to return to where he started. Joe drove wide behind Whitney, and the Chillicothe sensation stole the lead back. Hard into one, Gertie bounced behind Travis to coax a big wheel stand from Wright. On lap 13, Wright was on Gertie as Shepard cut outside Pouch and tucked in behind Bobby Hawks, added as an alternate when Lasowski broke a rear end. Continuing his climb, Shepard traced a tight inside line to pick off Wright, entering the front stretch for second place. Five laps before the halfway signal, Jeff jumped upstairs and circled near high off turn 2. Jim tried to fight back, but Shepard used Mike Wagner to his advantage. Wright pivoted under near to emerge second. The Texan, however, also experienced difficulty with Wagner and was forced to surrender his new standing. Seven laps later, Neer tried to work under Dan Bretnacher, and Wright whistled around them both. Gary, however, completed only 42 of 50 after winning 5 of 9 one winter earlier. Three laps from payday, Neer had fallen to 6th as Gertie drew a bead on third place Pouch and flashed alongside down the front. Billy drove an inspired corner to match Joe in turn 2 before Gertie won the ensuing drag race and rode Pouch deep into the withering cushion. Joe carried his money moves outside Huntley, who stood up in the seat and attempted to hold on to second and resist Joe's attempts to use the champion as a blocker. Far ahead of the mayhem was Jeff Shepard, who celebrated the biggest win of his 27-year life.
You look darn good the past 2 weeks, no wins tonight. You came in leading the points, started 6th. Why don't you tell me how you did it?
Well, you know, it worked out to our advantage, the whole deal. You know, we were fortunate enough to win tonight from 6th. It was hard to do. Deweese did it the other night, and we didn't do anything different from the dash, and I felt good in the dash, and we've been working hard for the last 2 weeks to try to win something. And luckily it came out in our advantage this evening.
If there is one you want to win, it's $10,000.
Yeah, they definitely say if you're going to win one, win the big one. And I've never won a 10,000 to win race before, or a 50-lapper. Biggest one I ever had was 40 laps at the end of last year, but you know, we'll definitely take it. My guys have worked hard this whole time. The car owners have put 100% behind us. My family and my friends around the house, you know, working all winter trying to put this deal together. I think it's paying off. And with, you know, coming down here with, you know, so far a good success rate, I think this season has a lot to offer for us.
After 2 official point races, Shepard was leading the standings over Schaefer, Kenny Jacobs, Billy Pouch, and Fast Freddie Raymer. Eldora Speedway opened the Ohio phase of the All-Star calendar. It marked the 92nd Eldora visit by the All-Star Circuit of Champions to the Earl Baltus Bowl. Earl's 2 previous season finales were won by Dean Jacobs, who lives for the place's sensations.
This place is just awesome. I mean, if any of the wins I've had, probably winning here is about the best because everybody wants to win here. The speeds are so good, and the racing's fast. It's just a lot of fun.
Keith Coffin was a winner during the initial Eldora All-Star season of 1981. On the start of the Southwest Express Line's second heat race, Craig Dolanski's 5th start and Gary Stanton's Mopar exited turn 1. The Minnesota Chargers strolled pitward as track workers restrung Earl's cable. The United Specialties' 4th heat race was red flagged for a brutal Byron Reed disintegration below the flag stand. Check out the tire marks leading directly into the concrete. Reed's black tail was one of many components strewn about the front stretch. Extreme care was devoted to extracting the Toledo racer, who suffered injuries that effectively ended his season. The Jacobs brothers filled the front ahead of Shepard and last year's top All-Star rookie Tyler Walker. Row 3 was Lynch and Saldana, who set a new standard of 138 miles an hour.
Today They fly into turns 1 and 2 from the outside. Kenny Jacobs takes command. Dean Jacobs second. Tyler Walker at third. Jeff Shepard and Saldana top 5 as the opening laps come down. Now Saldana on the inside goes by Tyler Walker to move up to third. Saldana now runs third. Tyler Walker fourth. Jeff Shepard fifth. And trouble front first turn. We got a car upside down in turn number 1. Turn 1. Steve Seaver in car number 36. We do know that.
It was halfway through the 30-lapper when Steve Seaver jumped the wheel and executed another frightful series for the main grandstand as Iowa's Leonard Lee slid to a stop. The former 360 star joined Byron at Coldwater General Hospital, but despite the violence, he was back racing at Eldora 2 weeks later.
It's all Kenny Jacobs, but now the battle for second as Joey Saldana has gone by Dean Jacobs. So Saldana is now running second. Half a lap for Kenny Jacobs. Saldana running out of time. It's all Kenny Jacobs coming to the checker flag. Kenny Jacobs, checker flag.
Standing between Billy Lyle and Rick Nichols, Kenny Jacobs enjoyed his 5th win in 9 Eldora All-Star events. Attica Raceway Park has staged the Coors Spring Nationals for 6 Aprils in a row. Kevin Huntley won during the track's inaugural 88th season. Greg Hughes shoved his dad's 94 for a driver still sore from an unsanctioned concrete encounter at the Lincoln Speedway in Pennsylvania.
I feel pretty good right now. It doesn't bother me at all to drive the race car, and I seem to be a little sore when I'm done, but I don't think it affects as far as driving the car at all, so I'm feeling pretty good.
When I was at Eldora, I talked to Dean. He said the doctor okayed you to race, but he didn't okay you to wreck. Things turned out pretty good there, huh?
Yeah, they sure did. I wouldn't want to wreck too bad right now, but if it happens, it happens, and we'll just have to suck it up. But the car feels real good to me. This is a new car we're running tonight, and this track's been a tough one for me, but we got going real good here last year at the end of the year, and I feel pretty confident we'll get going good tonight and should get a good shot at winning this race.
Steve Mox hoped to become the 4th owner to visit Victory Lane at Attica with Joey Saldana.
Key to this place is not falling out of the seat. The track's so small and you run around here pretty good that you can get tired pretty easy here, and the way this track is, it's usually pretty physical, so if you can sit up in the chair for 30 laps, you should be pretty good.
Bobby Distel was one of 38 at the Coors prelim. Attica commanded its loyal Friday following despite a nip in the air.
From Lockbourne, this is Rodney Duncan. Look out, the sideboard comes off the cart. They got set to go into turns 3 and 4.
Saldana was a Hoosier on the hammer when Ramsey Trucking posted $200 for quick time. In the second Southwest Express Line 10-lapper, Rodney Morgan dug into the soft middle groove and went for a ride. Looking down the barrel, we see how Morgan's 21 nearly attracted the Burmeister 16 of Todd Kramer. During the Southwest Glass Heat race, Bates stood sideways and was straightened by Brian Carlson, who flopped on his side.
They must stay side by side. There, green's out. We are underway. Your feature field off and underway, and it is Huntley grabbed the lead in car number 7. Ivy runs in the number 2 spot, but now Shepard goes outside of him, and Jacob goes on the inside of him as Ivy was a sandwich in that one. And here comes Saldana, shoots by him as well in the red number 17. Couple of cars running side by side in front of your leader, and that slows them up. Shepard trying to get a run off the top side. They're side by side down the backstretch. Huntley, though, finally able to clear the slower traffic, but Shepard stays there right with them. Oh, Shepard on the restart goes the outside. Huntley tries to get the run down through 1 and 2, and Shepard will go at him on the inside. Shepard with the move down the back stretch, up in the lead. Off of 4 will be Shepard up front.
On a restart, 2 laps from the end, Schroeder veered into 4th place Keegan and tried to spin a 360 that instead collected Kerr and Dean Jacobs. Frank and Dean both restarted for maximum points.
Shepard shoots it down the backstretch for the final time, and at turn number 3 off of 4, checkered flags up. Shepard will win it. Huntley will come home second. 3rd spot will go to Saldana.
A bunch of them restarts, they put those lap cars in between us, and I was just thinking, man, I couldn't believe it. So all I needed to do was start on this bumper because I had a good restart on the lap cars, and I figured if I got him then I don't think he was going to get me back. Because getting somebody in traffic is hard because you don't get away from them because you get to the next car. So it just worked out good for us.
Shepard's first career Attica All-Star win brought smiles to crew chief Dave Yingst and their bosses Les and Linda Stewart. Bob Kreiner's handiwork was heated for Shepard's quest at a $9,000 sweep of the Coors Spring Nationals. Brad Doty, injured before enjoying Attica as a driver, visited friends and neighbors. 1992 and 93 All-Star King Kevin Huntley talked about letting last night get away.
I was really good early in the race, and we were still pretty good at the end. We just we didn't quite tighten the car up enough, and the track slicked up. It allowed Jeff, he was a little more set for the last half of the race than we were. I screwed up a little bit on the restart. I got to take some of that blame. Jeff done a super job, but my car was really nice. We're going to work a little harder tonight and see if we can step up one more spot.
Sarah Fisher hot lapped the 9 designed by her father Dave. Judy Bates went wheel to wheel with Todd Kramer. Huntley applied a slide to John Wisbon, who countered nicely. Brian Smith, Dan Brettnacher, Judy Bates, Brett Mann, and Scott Jones had Georgia on their minds after pledging early intentions to chase 98 rookie honors. The crowd grew thicker on Saturday when the stakes were raised for the history's 40th Attica All-Star event. In the Southwest Glass 3rd heat race, Dan Brettnacher tried to knock over Attica's tire barrier. In the B, Lynch led Sarah, Jones, and Wisbon when Landon Stover folded the wing on the Melick 2N. Attica embraced an all-star field paced by Jacobs, Kerr, and Mann, who was lifted to the pole when Kaufman missed the main.
Side by side, the outside row moves up to fill in Kern's position. And we're green. Wow, trying to stick them 4 wide down the front straightaway. Mann had the jump on the start, but Jacobs grabs the lead. Off of 4, it'll be Jacobs with Kerr squeezing in between Fisher and Mann. So it's Jacobs up front, Kerr in the number 2 spot. Sarah Fisher running the bottom side, trying to move into 3rd, but Mann stays with her on the outside. Shepard right behind those 2 cars in the number 5 spot. You can see Shepard trying to find some room around the top of the racetrack, and he does. Shepard now up into 3rd, but Fisher comes back at him on the bottom. Here comes Kelly Kinzer trying to catch her top 4 as Kerr is inside of Jacobs. Frankie Kerr and Dean Jacobs race side by side at turn number 3. Off of 4, it's about a dead heat at the flag stand. Now Kerr looks like he has the advantage in turns number 1 and 2. Kerr takes the lead. Kelly Kinzer now moves underneath Shepard. So now Kelly Kinzer gets inside Fisher. Kelly Kinzer on the move. Kelly Kinzer up in the number 2 spot. So Kinzer gets around Jacobs and Fisher, now set his sights on Kerr. 2 cars running side by side in front of your leader, Frankie Kerr. Now Kelly Kinzer closed the gap. Kinzer on the bottom, and he'll take the lead off at turn number 2. Kelly Kinzer now your leader in the 4K. Kerr trying to come back at him, can't do it in 4. Now Saldana tries to slip up in front of Jacobs, and he does. Saldana's in 3rd. Kerr goes the outside again. Kinzer's better in 1 and 2. Here comes Saldana on the bottom. Kerr to the outside. Kerr will get him at the stripe. Kerr retakes the lead. Kinzer tries to get him back off the bottom at turn number 2. Saldana now shoots the outside of Kinzer. Off of 4 comes Kerr. Saldana now takes the number 2 spot. Final lap as Frankie Kerr tries to pocket the $5,000 into 3 for the final time. Off at turn number 4, checkered flag out, give it to Kerr. Saldana 2nd, Kinzer holds off Jacobs in 3rd.
Well, we needed this win really bad. Kelly was good, on the bottom there for long in the race. Them yellows really killed him, I think. And this is a great win. I mean, we're basically at home, and we took the big one.
Samantha and Frank Jr. joined their daddy after his 45th career All-Star victory. Rain ruined club visits to Eldora and Williamsgrove and lingered over Lincoln Speedway, where the Pennsylvania posse had repelled every All-Star invasion since 1981. 45 cars were on hand, including the top 5 in organizational points.
The huge wheel and axle number 94 from Holmesville, Ohio, Kenny Jacobs. And Kenny has problems, his top wing off, and Kenny Jacobs into the catch fence on turns 3 and 4. Kenny losing his top wing as he enters the turn, and will get word from the 3rd turn. And just about the same place he crashed when he was injured here at the beginning of the season. So we'll keep our fingers crossed and let you know as soon as we get word on Kenny Jacobs.
Returning to the place that broke his back, Kenny Jacobs was half a second off quick time when disaster struck again. Hughes' wheel and axle readied the spare machine and tagged the qualifying order. The sun over Gettysburg gave hope that the program would go unaffected. In the opening heat, Brian Paulus led Todd Schaefer to the first corner, where they encountered George Suprick and permitted Todd to take the win. Ex-All-Star Tim Schaefer wheeled Bob Stewart's Apple Cart to the second heat win over the Jeff Creasy car of Danny Jones. Jim Darley, a Lincoln victory with Rick Ferkel, dialed Huntley into a 3rd heat win. Kenny Jacobs shook off his qualifying spill to take heat 4 over Kevin Gobrecht, who was 2nd at Lincoln a week earlier. DeWeese pocketed the commercial truck and trailer dash over former Lincoln regular Jeff Shepard. Rapid rookie Shawn Michael, winner of the year's 2nd Lincoln feature, sailed around Jesse Wentz to bag the B. A star-studded galaxy assembled before the cold, cruel rain returned to push the feature to August 29th. Grandview Speedway draws its name from a hillside perch that presents a panoramic landscape. In 5 prior visits, the All-Stars have been punished by the posse, making Rick a bit punchy.
When's the last time you've seen the sunshine anyway?
You're glad to see it, huh?
The nearby Philadelphia Daily News sponsored Thunder on the Hill and the Hamilton 77. Pushing by was Kenny Jacobs, who was 2nd here in '86 with the Genesee Beer Wagon. The winner of that '86 Grandview All-Star visit, and the one which followed 11 years later, was Don Kreitz, who was asked if he was hungry for his 3rd checkered of the year.
Heck yeah. Yeah, we want to win every night out, and especially when the All-Stars come in, we got to hold up that posse tradition, so, hopefully we can do it tonight.
Grandview always strives for attention-grabbing speedway representatives. A collective cheer arose when the sun made a cameo. Grandview's all-time stock car king, Fast Freddie Raymer, engaged Keith Coffin in an entertaining struggle atop the 2nd heat.
Here's Raymer, gets it. He jumps on it down the back straightaway. Kaufman goes a little harder. Kaufman is the leader. Raymer down low. Kaufman up high. Raymer down low. Raymer trying again. Raymer's got him coming on the turn two. Hey, Kaufman is huffing and puffing. He takes back that number 1 spot. Who's going to get the checker flag down the main straightaway? Keith Kaufman takes it all.
Kenny Jacobs led the B over Dave Ely and Scott Jones when Port Royal racer Sean Keane cartwheeled in turn 1. Johnny Mackison, veteran of 2 All-Star Tours with Tim Hughes, started first when Kreitz quick-timed an inverted 4. Shepard worked under the slope 65, but Mackison maintained. Thunder on the Hill winner in 92, Johnny led 6 laps when Jeff increased his pressure. Into turn 3, Shepard's Maxim gripped the low groove and brought him by the fans in first place. On lap 9, DeWeese drew a bead on Kreitz and drifted to the top of turn 2, where he exited with 5th place. Up ahead of them, Jacobs tested Saldana's right side, then switched his attack to the low side of the first corner, which launched him off to chase 3rd place. At the other end of the track, Kenny's nose provoked Mackison to swat what Grandview calls boilerplate. The next shark to nibble on the wounded Mackison was DeWeese, who cut Johnny back to 5th. Saldana dragged the berm to hold back Kreitz, and then Donnie encroached on Raymer. Freddie was up from 18th. The bricks were flying to the front as Lance laid Kenny to waste without so much as a whimper. From outside turn 2, the man Grandview fans used to call Fritz snatched the 3rd spot from Jacobs down the back. Shepard's sizable advantage evaporated under the heat of DeWeese's advance. Just 4 laps remained when Lance found his sweet spot atop turn 2 and danced out of reach. With the white flag waving, Shepard had jumped upstairs to open the door for Fritz Raymer, who fell just 1 spot short of his 8th win of the year as Lance threatened to lap early leader Mackison.
How about a round of applause? Victory Lane, Lance DeWeese. $5,000 richer. He's glad to see that they beat the rain. They've had enough rain this weekend. Lance, he came on strong with about 5 laps to go. It looked like Jeff Shepard was going to run away with it, but then you sort of gobbled him up. How did you manage to catch up to him so quickly?
Well, we got better there as the race went along, but we weren't super good. Right here's the guy that came a long way. I know he must have been pretty fast there at the end. He had motor problems all night, but hey, he's a hell of a racer, so is Shepard and everybody else. But we just hung in there and kept working that top pretty good, and I hit the wall a number of times going back to us, but we got it here.
Grandview's Thunder Girls surrounded DeWeese after the 5th win of his 7th season with Maryland's Walter Dyer. Together they own 10 All-Star victories. The All-Stars made their first Michigan appearance of the season at Tom Slager's new 96 Speedway. Bridget Emick is a tireless member of the All-Star wagon train, this one fully stocked with assorted sprint car collectibles and souvenirs. The new 96 was simply the old I-96, a sweeping high-speed half. The All-Stars have also raced on a dormant quarter mile. Joey Saldana, winner on both Lake Odessa ovals, chased Dave Freed until his engine belched smoke and eventually flames. Saldana swapped power plants and would start 4th. On the start, he attempted to get between the sibling rivalry of the Jacobs brothers, but the start would come back due to the ceasefire of Butch Schroeder. Butch sat motionless in turn 2. As the field realigned, Joey shredded some rubber.
He Here we go at Jacobs front row. Dean on the pole, Kenny to the outside. We'll try it again. Let's hope this one goes a little smoother, folks. We're ready to go green again. Here we go. It's Kenny and Dean first and second. Frankie Kerr running third.
The red waved on lap 3 for a turn 3 tumble involving Doug Stepke. Saldana's Stealth was near the scene with another flat. When the green light was relit, Kenny chose a wide stance that permitted his kid brother to work the inside of the plate.
Dean Jacobs works to the bottom. Makes the move on Kenny and makes it work.
Winners of 7 I-96 All-Star events, Huntley and Kerr contested third until Huntley hustled away. Kenny Jacobs lapped Kevin Bloomstrand and then missed turn 1 of lap 12. Before he could regain the groove, the puppet pounced. 4 miles remained when Kenny reeled in Kevin, who then dove low on Bobby Adamson and slapped him into a spin. The clear track did not help Huntley as Jacob set sail through the dust to restore his runner-up status. Kevin filled the open lane and shadowed the 94.
Seven to go for leader Dean Jacobs. Kenny Jacobs makes the move on Kevin Huntley, trying to take that second spot away. Huntley and Kenny Jacobs having a great race for second spot. Race fans, here we go. Here's your winner. Who's it going to be? It is Dean Jacobs. Kenny Jacobs second.
Thanks a lot. I told my guys before that race that when me and Kenny started on the front row tonight, one of us was going to win. We were going to race her out. One of us was going to win the race. So I'm just glad it was me. It was a good race, though.
Dean and Tina smiled for a family portrait following the 10th win of Dad's All-Star career. One man's pastoral setting is another man's water hazard on a golf course overlooking the Tri-City Speedway operated by Mike Graham and Roger Crick. The $250 that Jeff Shepard received for his 15:39 record had been quartered for the car wash. Local boy turned traveler Scott Jones held off homestay girl Judy Bates until Judy shot the second heat win of her season. Breaker 1-9, we got a bear in the air. Saldana led track champ Bob Felmy into the third heat's first corner, where Scott Bennell slipped over the crown of the course and into the steel. Shepard selected a 4 to put third quick Saldana directly in front of him. Joey was the first one of the first turn.
Saldana grabs the lead. Jeff Shepard around the outside, Shepard in the second spot. Now Shepard goes down on the inside to take the lead. He slides out. And Saldana out in front.
Former track regular Kenny Jacobs showed how to pass at Franklin by firing a third turn slide for third place.
Green flag coming out. Watch Kenny Jacobs. The mouse is down on the inside. Jacobs on the move here at the restart. And he gets second away from Shepard.
In traffic 4 miles from the end, Kaufman and Kerr split Jones down the backstretch as Keith continued past Brad Ellenberger to secure 5th place. White flag in the air, Saldana approached Brian Ellenberger as Jacob stalked for a mistake that never came. Joey was off turn 4 and under the checker.
Jeff was pretty good there on the start, and you know, it's hard to pass when it's this slick, so I don't know how we would have done if we would have started 4th, but luckily we won and go to the next race.
Saldana accomplished his first career Pennsylvania victory. Attica was rained out for 2 weeks prior to the All-Star return. No one has won more races at Attica Raceway Park than Racer X Mark Keegan. The Jim Harbaugh Gambler of Chad Kemenaw has seen extensive all-star action. The Gottschalk 17 with Butch Schroeder aboard is another formidable Ohio entry. On the wall of the Little Tavern on the Prairie is where you'll find a photo of the whiz, John Wisbin. A banged-up Kenny Jacobs was smiling to be standing on top of the points. In the chase to be the top all-star rookie, Scott Jones held a slight advantage over Judy Bates.
Hey, we're back at Attica. What do you think? Well, Attica, I've been here. This will be the 4th time, I guess. It's kind of a high bank place. I'm not really used to those being from, Pennsylvania. There, everything's pretty much flat. No, I don't know. We got extra stuff, and the motors are working well, so we'll run until I break everything and quit, or we'll get through the year. But something's got to happen. Finishing 13th sucks.
The rookie assault by Judy Bates was dealt a blow when she dumped the 121 during high miler hot laps. In the second heat, Paul Weaver got loose under Todd Heller and lifted Soup Sabo's car for the appreciative crowd. In the United Express Line B, Rodney Morgan again displayed a determination to make this highlight tape. Chuck Ward, a West Virginia racer who won a 91 All-Star race in his home state, was honored by Attica. Chuck ran his last race in a 92 Pittsburgh All-Star event.
I want to thank you for the support. God bless all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Chuck.
Watch them as they get set into turn number 3. Ready to come to turn number 4. Green flag's out. Here we go. Off 2 down the back straightaway, and it's Dean Jacobs in the 92 grabbing the early lead. Jacobs will hit the stripe ahead of brother Kenny. Shepard's 3rd. Kemenaw 4th. Kaufman in the number 5 spot.
4 laps into it, the Jacobs brothers were busy with Jeff Shepard. Dean, of course, took the long way around while Kenny dragged the bottom. On a lap 6 restart, Kenny made a strong lunge under his 97 seat, but Dean rocketed off the top.
Kemenaw trying to take the number 2 spot away from Kenny Jacobs, and looks like he'll do it. Now Jacobs comes back at him on the outside. Looks like 1 and 2 were good for Kemenaw. 3 and 4 not quite as good.
8 starting Keith Kaufman began to make his presence felt by finding a middle groove under Kenny and outside of Chad. 6 laps later, Kaufman paired up with Saldana in a struggle for 3rd place.
Tell you what, this might be it, and as off of turn number 2 they go side by side. Kemenaw grabs the lead into turn number 3. Kemenaw around the bottom and takes the top spot. So it's Kemenaw up front now. Dean Jacobs in the number 2 spot. Kaufman runs 3rd. Saldana 4th. Kerr in the number 5 spot.
Dean began to fade as Kaufman cut the corner to achieve 2nd place.
Kemenaw's got to know he's coming. Kemenaw trying to go lower than Fisher. Can't get underneath her. Kaufman now pulls up alongside on the backstretch. Kemenaw now just makes his way through. Shoves Fisher out of the way, and they're side by side at the stripe. Now Kaufman grabs the lead in turn number 2. Keith Kaufman, your new leader. Into 3 for the final time. Off of turn number 4, checkered flag out. Kaufman will win it.
Tell you what, this is your first win here at Attica, at least under All-Star competition. That's got to feel pretty good.
Well, yeah, we've been struggling a little bit, but Mike and the guys, he's been working his butt off on this thing. I've been home laying around, and he's been out there working day and night. So, Mike Cool, he makes this thing run, and Justin and Kip and all those guys, so they deserve all the credit.
For the 47-year-old Victor, the 24th career club win was the highlight of the season. Kemenaw's second and Duncan's fifth were also their seasonal best with the All-Stars. The very next night, a pleasant sun was setting over the famous Eldora Speedway.
We also want to welcome all the fine folks from AAT Corporation.
It was a perfect evening to set up the lawn chairs and watch sprint cars compete at warp speed. Sarah Fisher greeted her Ohio fans, as did Judy Bates. Byron Reed was on crutches telling Dean Jacobs that he might be back sooner than doctors believed. Keith Kaufman was anxious to put together a win streak for his Michigan team.
Well, it's a good team. You know, we kind of started out, we haven't been, haven't really been a factor, but, maybe now it's starting to come around because, like I said before, we were real good last night, and, maybe we can repeat and do the same thing tonight.
Next on Eldora crowd was coaxed by the $10 tickets on Fan Appreciation Night. Hurrying through the third heat, the Peterbilt wing blinded Huntley. Sarah sailed to the first dash win of her season. Kenny Jacobs was quickest at 13:13, but selected an 8 to again put his brother on the front row. Knowing the low line to be disadvantaged, Dean rolled to a quick start.
This time in the turns 1 and 2, Dean Jacobs takes the lead from Shepard down the backstretch. Joey Saldana runs in third spot. Butch Schroeder is fourth. Here comes Saldana inside to the second. Dean Jacobs, Joey Saldana, the two-car race for third spot. Kenny Jacobs outside on the high side. Second turn takes over third from Jeff Shepard. Here they come off turn 4. Dean Jacobs, Saldana, Kenny Jacobs. Then it's Jeff Shepard fourth, Edlund Jr. fifth. Oh, trouble in the backstretch. Dean Jacobs, race leader, getting into a car on the backstretch, and we'll have to pick him up over there. Red flag. I can't see his number.
Medical personnel were on the scene, but neither driver required an overnight hospital stay.
And Dean Jacobs is standing in his car and taking oxygen.
In the replay, see how lucky both drivers are not to get drilled by oncoming cars. Jones directed the loading of his own mess. Little remained of the Ashworth 92 either.
Green lights are back on, we're underway. And Jacobs takes the inside move, turn 3 and 4, trying to make it stick, side by side and goal, turn number 1. Saldana shuts the door, gets it back in turn 1 and 2. So Saldana maintains the lead spot, Jacobs in hot pursuit, Shepard runs third. Saldana down the backstretch, now into turn 3 and 4, off of 4, looking for the checker flag. Feature winner, Joey Saldana. Coming home in second to be Kenny Jacobs in 94. Frankie Kerr makes the move. Here's the last turn for third. Frankie Kerr. Third, and Jeff Shepard will be fourth.
Saldana's fifth career Eldora All-Star victory was the first 410 win ever at the track for Ohio owner Steve Mox. Three straight nights in Ohio culminated on a Sunday at George Bucella's Sharon Speedway on the Pennsylvania border. All the pretty girls turn out to see the All-Stars. Randy Hammer and his son Aaron had another Ashworth Schnee ready for its aching but determined driver. Shawn Michael, fourth at Lincoln the previous night, made his first visit to Sharon one for the books. The sun had yet to set when the All-Stars paraded before the fans. Michael inverted 8, meaning Dean Jacobs was on the point for a third straight night inside New York's Mike Woodring.
Here comes Mike Woodring working on the high side. Woodring going to fall into that third spot. Second right now will be the 17 of Joey Saldana. Saldana going to settle into that second spot.
1/3 of the way through, Saldana took a look inside as they split Barry Rubel and went side by side down the backstretch.
an eye on Joey Saldana. Now he's moving to the high side. Jacobs hold that middle groove. And we're going to have a new race leader. It's going to be the 17 of Saldana. And we got one stopping on a back straight.
Fifth place Frankie Kerr brushed the wall to hand the lead back to Jacobs.
Joey Saldana now down the back stretch. We go Saldana onto the inside. Yeah, looks like we might have a new race leader off of turn 4. Here we go, side by side. It's going to be Joey Saldana. Coming out of turn 4, picking up the spring national feature win will be Joey Saldana.
Steve spends a lot of money, and he deserves to win, and that's what we're out here to do. And I'm just out here to do the best I can. And I'm just glad to see Dean Jacobs back tonight. He took a horrific accident at Eldora, and I was right behind it, and I thought for sure he had to be hurt. And just to see him back tonight means a lot. So got to thank God for him being all right and for a good race.
Crew Chief Darrell Tate and boss Steve Mox flanked their driver in post-race Sharon ceremonies. Fourth place marked the best all-star finish ever for ESS King Mike Woodring. It was time to abandon the farm equipment and take the family to the 3rd annual Pete Jacobs Memorial at the Wayne County Speedway, which assumed its old name after a decade as Buckeye. Joey Saldana was now on top of the point standings. Once again, Joey exhibited incredible skills against the clock. Saldana's 4-pill placed Bobby Clark on the pole. Joey wasted no time, however, picking off Kaufman in turn 2 and overwhelming Clark by the time they reached the end of the backstretch. On the 3rd lap, Saldana stopped for a wreck containing Ed Neumeister and Judy Bates.
On lap number 12, Keith Kaufman takes over 2nd spot from Bobby Clark. He's going to try now to reel in the 17 of Joey Saldana. Look at Jacobs now coming on Bobby Clark coming out of turn number 4. He's trying to find his way around the number 8 machine. That's giving the Mox machine of Saldana and the Express Line U2 car of Keith Kaufman somewhat at an advantage as they try to pull away. They're running 3, hunting that 3rd running spot, that being Frankie Kerr, Bobby Clark, and Kenny Jacobs, all battling for that 3rd running spot behind Keith Kaufman. Now Jacobs takes over that 3rd spot, that 4th spot. Frankie Kerr working all over Keith Kaufman, just cannot make the pass. He's sitting in that 3rd running spot. Kenny Jacobs runs 4th.
Saldana kept his good years under him to take his 2nd straight Pete Jacobs Memorial. Orville was the 3rd consecutive All-Star victory for Mox Motorsports. Ohio's Flag City Motorsports Park USA in Findlay was the host of race number 1000 in the All-Star Annals. Like nearby Eldora, the former Millstream Speedway features terraced lawn chair seating. Kerr, Weaver, and Neumeister were 3 of 27 cars on hand. Saldana's string of success may have been born out of necessity.
We blew a couple motors up at I-96, and we only got a couple motors to race on. We've been trying to get the other ones done, and my owner, it's my first time for him to really do something like this, so I guess we just stepped it up a bit because he needs the money to pay for the motors.
What's the key here?
Well, tonight it must have rained a bunch because the track's real heavy, so thing is here, it's just going to be like a rodeo. You just got to gas her up and hope no one gets into you or you don't turn over because it's going to be pretty racy.
The nervous system, I'd be shaking.
Let's see how he shakes out of turn number 4 as we complete the first of 2 qualifying laps.
Findlay fans use the holiday weekend to catch some racing.
As we are ready to get underway, the All-Stars are coming out of turn 4.
Eighth fastest Keegan crunched his machine on the start, and a complete restart resulted. While juicing the motors before the green, Sarah found a puddle that turned her around. Since she now needed a second push, Fisher's second row opportunity was negated, much to the chagrin of the sympathetic spectators. Butch beat Frankie off the chalk and down into the first corner where Kerr flirted with the fence. Still on the rim, Frank drove in around Schroeder in a side-by-side battle to lead the opening circuit that carried Butch so hard into turn 1 that he gave up the bottom to Saldana. Already in the traffic by lap 6, Saldana sized up Kerr before Frank's wide entrance surrendered command. Joey thanked Kerr with a goodbye wheelie. Saldana surged toward becoming the first man in 11 years to win 4 straight All-Star races, was KO'd by the spinning Holbrook 99 of Donnie Jeske, a stock car champion who inspired a few choice suggestions from his victim. After Kerr passed the new restart cone on the front stretch, Frankie headed for the highest part of the banking while Jacobs jockeyed off the bottom. Two laps from the end, Kerr led Kenny to the first corner before slipping wide.
Jacobs on the inside as they go down the backstretch. Kenny Jacobs, your new leader. Frankie Kerr now runs in that second spot, and he takes a look to the inside, and Kerr takes it back. White is out, 1 more lap to go.
Yeah, that's... Again, the restart did not go Frankie's way as first Dean Jacobs and then Keith Kaufman shuffled him to third place. Kaufman had risen from row 6 to pester the leader beneath the white flag. Jacobs, however, flicked the Frigidaire Stealth off the rim to secure the spot. After exploding an Ashworth engine, Dean taped 92 on his wing, started 14th, and happily accepted the gift from Saldana.
It seems like that's the only way we're being able to beat Joey right now. Something's got to happen to him. He's going awful good, but then when Kenny dropped out, I knew Kenny was going to be up there where I was at and was going to play a hard time passing him, and when I seen his car break, I don't like to see Kenny drop out of any races, but that was definitely a big plus for me. And Frank was going awful good. I just got lucky on the start there. It's kind of tough when you have all that many restarts starting up front. Got a big guessing game. He don't know who's coming behind. I don't know if he knew I was behind him or not, but it was just great.
Memorial Day attracted a holiday crowd at the Chillicothe Banks called KC Raceway, which up until 1986 was called Atomic Speedway. KC Speed appeals to the Jacobs brothers and is also where the Fishers became racers. Dean described Finley's substitution.
We had some trouble with the motor. I think the crankshaft might have broken the motor, and I got together with Denny after we crashed the car at Eldora and worked a deal with him with my car so that he could own it and we could run it whenever we have trouble. So we had to pull it out sooner than we thought, but it worked out all right.
What about this place?
We'll be good here. This is one of my favorite racetracks, always fast, which is kind of like Eldora, just smaller, and I really like Eldora, so this place fits right into me.
Youngsters always find their way to Chillicothe, and in 1998, a kid needs his own website, like high school student Jonathan Stevens.
We're running with the big boys tonight. It's the first time we got to run with the All-Stars, and we're just here to see what we can do tonight at our home track.
This is your second year in sprint cars?
Yes, this is our second full year in sprint cars. We just came out of 600 mini sprints, and so far we're doing real well.
Are you intimidated by these guys or not?
No, all through my life I've been the youngest guy out there, and I've been dealing with it for a long time, and they're just a regular bunch of guys just like I deal with on an everyday basis at school, so it's no different.
Wings need to be extra tight at KC when flyboys like Kenny Jacobs are averaging 133 miles an hour around the 3/8 mile.
Oh, we got one flip real early. Landon Stover, and now Huntley's in a good solid second. But now Jacobs coming back again. Kenny Jacobs has just gone into second. Huntley comes right back though. Kevin Huntley and Kenny Jacobs side by side.
Kenny was working on a clean sweep following the commercial truck and trailer dash. Chillicothe regular James Fisher wrestled his cousin Sarah in the United Express Line B main. Off the bottom, Charlie's son took the win over Dave's daughter. Near, Jacob, Saldana, and Kerr led the parade.
And we're beginning to accelerate just a little bit, coming off a 3 over there, now in the 4, and we've got the hammer down, and we're going. Frankie Kerr and Jim Neer. And look at Kenny Jacobs going right with him. And boy, I'll tell you what, shot to the lead early there.
As the field completed its 4th revolution, Kerr cornered under Neer for second as Saldana and Jacobs argued about 4th place. Dean saw his preferred high groove empty and drove to the cushion to jostle Jim back a spot. Dean was still a good distance behind his record-setting brother as they completed lap 11. Seven laps later, however, Kenny jumped the cushion and Dean made him pay. Kerr also capitalized. Billy Wilburn, back from Charlotte duty with Rusty Wallace, bounced to a stop, and with 15 laps to go, Kerr was in the center of a Jacobs sandwich.
Dean Jacobs getting into heavy traffic, and now Frankie Kerr moving in on Dean Jacobs. Kerr and Jacobs side by side on the backstretch and into turn 3. Frankie Kerr has just taken over the lead in car number 23. Kerr in 23, now your leader. Jacobs in 92 is second.
Breathing a puff of smoke from Jonathan Stevens, Kerr grabbed only his second Chillicothe checkered ever. The win also ended an 8-race all-star losing streak for Kerr and Billy Dard.
We're going to hear a word from Frankie Kerr in just a minute. Frankie makes all good moves on the racetrack to win this one.
The first ever South Dakota All-Star event began a 4-race swing at the Hartford Speedway. Formerly a 5/8 mile, Hartford was shortened by a 1/4 mile and answered to the name Red Devil before restoring its rightful name. 27 cars appeared on this Thursday night, including Missouri Scott Breezy Whitworth. Thunderbird liquor was spilled all over the nose of former IMCA Sprint champion Steve Ballinger. Marlon Jones made a home state start near the Brian Schneed chassis factory. A 410-inch engine replaced the 360 more commonly used by Jake Peters. San Diego native Leonard Lee takes on any and all clubs with his McCroskey Maxim. Doug Clark of nearby Sioux Falls is the most recognized flagger in sprint car racing. A decent crowd collected for Hartford's first 410 race in 9 years as promoted by Ross Shattuck, a crewman the previous spring for Joey Saldana. Saldana was again quick time. Defending track champion Greg Baker held his Wolfwell chassis ahead of improving rookie Brian Smith during heat race number 3. During the commercial truck and trailer dash, Saldana showed the evening's only outside passing as the hard surface began to take rubber. Judy Bates took the B in her first race since trashing a car at Findlay. Incredibly, Dean Jacobs enjoyed another pole position ahead of Kaufman, Kerr, and Saldana. The bottom was a better place to be, as illustrated by Dean's margin into the first bend. Joey tested the middle as Keith stepped outside the leader. Kenny Hansen, the winner 4 nights earlier at Houston Speedway, was on his side before the completion of 1 lap. On this restart, Kaufman was ready by shifting down a lane to keep Dean close enough that when they exited the second corner, Keith had the lead. As Jacobs attempted to goad Keith off the bottom, Joey jumped outside to reach runner-up. By the second lap, the crowd peered through the dust to see Saldana slip inside the United Express Line house car. A battle began to develop over third place on lap 6 involving Dean Jacobs, Kerr, and the resilient Bates. Kerr tried to pedal the middle groove as he so often has, but in the turn 3, touched wheels with Judy. Kerr had injured his back and sustained a minor concussion, but stubbornly refused medical attention. In slow motion, we see the contact between the two as they flip wildly, parts shed all over the corner, attracting attention from Jake Peters, who drills Judy, and then Scott Jones ambles along into the dark corner and drills Jake. Luckily, there were no serious injuries. Traffic was especially difficult to navigate on the single groove arena, enabling Kaufman to get close. Off the final corner, Saldana tucked behind Chuck McGilvery to leave Keith no opening. $4,000 later, Darrell Tate, Australia's Steve Fitzpatrick, Saldana, and Steve Mox felt the long tow was worthwhile.
Without a doubt, I think Frankie Kerr deserves money. He flipped his wanker off.
Rained out during the 97 Thunder Through the Plains series, the All-Stars made their first official appearance at the Eagle Raceway that rests a dozen miles east of the University of Nebraska in Lincoln. Eagle is billed as the home of rock and roll racing in its second season under Dean Orth and Craig Cormack, owners of the Klein-powered Schnee that set the fastest lap driven by hometown hero Don Dowd Jr. Bethany winner Jeff Matrician joined the All-Stars in Nebraska. 3-time Sioux Falls winner Terry McCarl also arrived at Eagle for his All-Star return. Gary Wright also rebounded well from Florida by switching to a Maxim that compiled 8 wins. Australian Knoxville King Skip Jackson and the Jensen 55 had won half of their 4 races before Nebraska. Eagle's a busy place, staging stock cars on Fridays and 360 sprints on Saturdays. They switched sprints to Friday for this initial All-Star visit, one which would not be rained out on this Nebraska night. The clear sky exploded with color as Eagle saluted the All-Star Circuit of Champions. Dean Jacobs enjoyed another Butler-built pole position inside Scott Breezy Whitworth. Breezy was wrenched by Indiana's Scott Bennick, an All-Star champion with Joe Gertie. Whitworth was beaten to the stripe as Saldana shot to third in his dad's hometown.
Up in front in the 92 is Dean Jacobs on the inside. In the number 96 is Breezy Scott Whitworth. Saldana in the 17 on the outside early on. Skip Jackson in the 55. Going to stay on the low side. We'll see what the faster track is. As now Saldana goes to the inside, moves up into third. And in third, on the outside, trying to make the pass on the 1BK for third is Don Dowd Jr. In stereo. Scott Whitworth at fourth. And now Skip Jackson slides below him. Skip Jackson up for fourth. Gary Wright fifth. Scott Whitworth battling it out with Dean Jacobs for sixth. 13 is driven by Scott Jones. Jacobs and Saldana with great starts. Dowd Jr. having some problems getting going, and Gary Wright will get by Don Dowd Jr. and move up into third. In the lap traffic, it is the 92, and he has some problems getting around the other cars, but he's able to negotiate and hold on to first, but the gap has been closed between him and Joey Saldana. As this time around, Dean Jacobs sees the checkered flag and wins the gate feature of the All-Star Circuit of Champions.
Jacobs enjoyed Eagle's cushion much more than Hartford's hardpan, adding Nebraska to Kansas, Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Tennessee as triumphant territories. Roll On Down the Highway by BTO was the week's theme. The National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum is one of many reasons to visit Knoxville, Iowa. The famous half-mile of black dirt paired 44 All-Stars with 25 360 machines in the Masters Classic for drivers over 50 years of age. Frankie Kerr, veteran of 9 Knoxville Nationals, posted the second quick qualifying award of his All-Star season. Sunset over Des Moines indicated another starry night for the All-Stars. 97 Nationals rookie Sarah Fisher was back on the trail. Despite his quick time, Kerr was forced to chase Leonard Lee home in the B.
We still got a good one going up front. Leonard Lee. Oh, look out! The 121 of Judy Bates taking a hard one.
Red marked the end of Judy's third Gambler in 4 outings. She was uninjured thanks in part to one of sprint car racing's finest safety crews. On the replay, Bates was attempting to move around Minnesota's Tony Norum when she drifted into the deep end.
Turns 3 and 4, Don Drow, Gary Wright, bring him to the line. It is showtime at Knoxville. Wheel to wheel, they charge into one. Drow up to the high side, nearly clips Wright, and it's Gary Wright with the lead down the back straightaway. Frankie Kerr slips the 23 car into the 3rd spot, but he's got company on the inside, and Kenny Jacobs. Travis Cram, 1 lap down, tucked in behind Wright. Then it's Don Drow Jr. and Kenny Jacobs. We're back to green, we're back to racing. Jacobs with the move on. Drow takes over second. Now Skip will try him on the high side, but Don Drow Jr. shuts the door. 3-car battle for the 3rd spot, racing through 1 and 2 with Drow, Jackson, McCarl. Down the back straightaway, Skip makes a run on the inside of Don Drow. Skip Jackson on the charge.
Wright was a hot night through traffic, lapping John Cernett and Jeff Matrician with a textbook slide.
Coming off turn 4, tonight's feature winner, as Bolino spins out, is going to be Gary Wright.
I'll tell you what, we've never been good here at Knoxville, but I guess we just had the wrong car. This is a new Maxim car, and I think this is 8 out of the last 10 races we've won with this car. So, this car's a rocket. We've got a brand new Salina engine. We finally got the parts now it takes to run here, so I'm looking forward to coming back.
Good sprint car show here last night during the regular Saturday night program. 21 race cars here last night in the sprint car division at 34 Raceway.
The previous night's program had a detrimental effect on the first complete Burlington All-Star event. Sunday spectators assembled in the J&J steel bleachers of this Mississippi River town. 94-34 winner Gary Wright's fast lap was a 1.5 seconds off the track record.
Holy cow, quick time, 15.367.
Wright worked under Indy 500 rookie Donnie Beechler to become the only heat winner from row 3. The Butler-built pole position of Kenny Jacobs was of prime importance on a rubbery raceway where the 360 of Jeff Haynes was 4th fastest. The inside enabled Jacobs and Haynes to better their outside counterparts.
Kenny Jacobs, Frankie Kerr, Jeff Haynes, now Gary Wright up to 4th. Gary Wright up alongside of Jeff Haynes, wheel to wheel, side to side into the turn. Gary Wright takes the one to the other side of Haynes. Haynes putting the pressure, but Gary Wright now moves around Jeff Haynes for 3rd.
Just past halfway, the smell of burning rubber filled the air as the field tightened to the sticky black line. 2 laps from the finish, Sarah Fisher pushed her nose beyond Todd Tager and watched Saldana assume 4th place. Off the final corner, Jacobs got a blast of tire smoke from Larry Pinnegar, but nabbed his 3rd win.
This feature win started night qualifying. We drew last to go out to qualify. The guys, Barry Jackson and Todd Palmer and Anthony and Frank, they all went to work on this Hughes wheel and axle car, and they got that thing hooked up for me to get 6 quick qualifying, and that's what won the race for us. And they drew a 6, put us on the front row, so this feature all started with qualifying tonight.
Barry Jackson held the banner after choosing a rock-hard Goodyear 60 that carried Kenny to an all-star victory on his 37th Speedway in 11 different states. Michigan's Crystal Raceway was the host of GM Powertrain Night near the Motor City of Detroit. The year's top car owner would replace Crystal promoter Burt Emick in this Chevrolet Silverado V8 Turbo Diesel. The only prior All-Star appearance at Crystal was a 1996 event captured by Kenny Jacobs, who chatted with Tim Hughes and Tim's 94 driver Joey Saldana. Warren Johnson's U2 won that 96 Crystal event with Jacobs. Dean Jacobs pushed toward a prospective second Michigan win of the year. Frankie Kerr was feeling better after resting his South Dakota battered body. Kerr's old J&J had become Brian Smith's rookie ride. Kelly Kinzer had a spring in his step after winning Bloomington and Kokomo. Brett Mann had won 5 times, including both of Crystal's 410 events. Former All-Star Van Gurley Jr. had become a Michigan regular in Roger Bible's 22. The Daggett family pitted beside Crystal sod winner John Gall. This beautiful Butler winner showed that Michigan has as many Slades as Ohio has Keegans. Billy Lyle walked the pits and wondered how far to the nearest casino. Keith Kaufman broadcast Earl Gerdy's music. Kenny Jacobs answered with a Bob Kreiner tune. Next was Saldana's Fox Rocker. And finally, a Westmore song by Kevin Huntley. Ultimately, it was Kreiner's General Motors application that sounded the sweetest. During the dash, Saldana surged under Kaufman and skated into Huntley. Jacobs drew an 8 to create a Bloomington front row. Kelly and Kevin got away much better than Joe Gerdy's car, driven by Tim Norman. Tim was tardy into turn 1, where Dean sailed around him as Kaufman worked below.
Up front in the lead, coming to complete lap number 1. They're side by side, Kinzer and Huntley. It's Huntley by inches over Kelly Kinzer. Kelly Kinzer to the bottom, Huntley running the high line. 2 distinct grooves around the Crystal Raceway. Kinzer makes the bottom work, Huntley the faster line up top. In third is the U2 of Keith Kaufman. Dean Jacobs runs fourth, Joey Saldana fifth. Up front is still Huntley, Kinzer, the race for third now. Dean Jacobs up top with the U2 of Keith Kaufman running the bottom line. 2 distinct lines around the racetrack, and Kaufman hugging that bottom.
Kenny Jacobs tried to pin Saldana behind Jay Rohrbach, but Joey would not relinquish 5th place. Like father, like son, Don Daggett spun next to Dad Mike. A third of the way through, Kinzer found enough moisture to reach for the sky.
Kinzer closed in big time, trying to make a move on Huntley in turn 1. They're side by side for the lead at turn 2. Still Huntley. Here comes Kelly Kinzer to Bloomington, Indiana racer, side by side, splitting a lap car. Huntley leads by half a car length as they try to lap Don Daggett. Huntley to the top, Kelly Kinzer to the bottom, and Don Daggett the meat in a sandwich. Here comes Dean Jacobs, the high side trying to pass for second. It's Kinzer second. There goes Dean by him. Dean Jacobs now second. Joey Saldana trying to find him through. Not able to do it. Kelly Kinzer says not so fast. 5 laps to go for leader Kevin Huntley. 5 to go. As Huntley leads the race now for second developing. Kelly Kinzer to the bottom. Dean Jacobs up top. And both of them closing on leader Kevin Huntley. The tires starting to wear out. You gotta wonder. 3 wide on the front stretch for the lead. Kinzer our leader. Dean Jacobs cuts the tire and heads into the infield, and caution on the racetrack.
On the replay, Huntley twitched outside Kinzer and folded the left front of Dean's car. Jacobs was so upset at losing a shot at $5 that he flung his Simpson hat.
Huntley up top, side by side on the front stretch with 2 to go. Kinzer to the bottom, Huntley to the top. We could have a photo finish. Kinzer still to the bottom. They're side by side, taking the white this time for Chris Johnson. 1 to go. Huntley takes the lead. Now Kinzer makes a stab on the bottom. Saldana is still third. One last chance for Kelly Kinzer. Who's it going to be? Out of turn 4, your winner is Kevin Huntley. Kinzer second, Saldana third, Kerr fourth.
Jim Darley joined in celebrating Huntley's first All-Star win since Kevin's 1996 U2 campaign. The weekend's second stop in the Great Lakes State was the Butler Battlegrounds, promoted by Denny Donaldson, who beat the All-Stars on this track in 1983. Back then, Butler's steep dirt banks were oiled. Denny applied real mud. There's not a bad seat in the house at Butler, thanks to a cement grandstand as angled as its oval. Some people prefer their own luxury box. Others rely on spotters to assist their program. Eric made the All-Star yearbook available at the gate. Kelly Dawson was in charge of complaints. Brian's father, Mike Smith, kicked back with Bert. Crystal did not burn as much fuel as the Scott Jones team expected. The famous Kinzer scowl always follows a defeat. Jeff Rankin showed that the Michigan mud was difficult. Dean Jacobs hit the track first and hammered out the fastest lap in Butler history. The Georgia Marketing rookie race was heating up as first Scott Jones took the third heat over John Wisbon. Then Brian Smith drove around track champion Ken Mackey to win the fourth heat race. Jerry Slade's cargo mate Gambler occupied the pole but could not match Jacobs down the narrow front chute. Kinzer squared the 4K and looked inside the local as Keith Kaufman began to stalk. Kaufman lunged under Kinzer and slid to the wall with second spot. Nine laps later, Keith took a dive under the leader, but actually lost ground upon exiting. Saldana slipped under Kelly and advanced to third. Kenny Jacobs went wire to wire to his fourth win of the All-Star season.
Starting on the front row meant a lot tonight because it was real hard to pass on. Even the lap cars were a little bit hard to pass, so it meant a lot to be on the front row, and I can't say enough about this J&J Kreiner engined Goodyear Pro Shock car. I mean, it's just been a great race car for us, and the guys keep working, and we keep getting better on these slick tracks where we've been struggling a little bit, and it feels real good to win on a slick racetrack because we have trouble with them.
Jacobs became the first man to reach the 70-win plateau against the All-Stars Circuit of Champions.
Move with care, race fans, as you make your...
After Mercer and Port Royal rained out, the 6th annual Western Pennsylvania Speed Week began with a bang at the exciting Learnerville Speedway near Butler. Alex Rennick generally has the short half mile prepared for 2 and 3 groove combat. The late Don Martin established Learnerville as a Friday fixture in Western PA. Available in Double XL during Brian Smith's rookie analysis.
Scott's got a little more equipment than us, and he's been crashing a little more equipment than us, and we're pretty even now.
You're fairly new on the All-Star Tour. This is like your first year of traveling with them, obviously, Rookie of the Year. Where'd you come from?
Fremont, Ohio. We kind of screwed around in the Econos there a little bit and ran a little bit of sprint cars earlier in my career, but Dad finally got off his wallet, and we're going for it this year. All these guys have been a lot of help. They've let us know what gears and bars and all kinds of stuff to run. You know, they help us out a bunch.
Kind of fun running with the All-Stars, isn't it?
Oh, this is great. It's a great bunch of guys. You can't have more fun than this.
Scott Jones had switched from unlucky 13 to the 8J for the Western Pennsylvania Speed Week near his Irvona home. Dean Jacobs fired off down pit lane and talked of Crystal's crunch.
We was having a heck of a race there, and we got going down the back straightaway, and we come up on some lap cars, and Kelly and Kevin was racing for the lead, and Kelly got underneath Kevin a little bit, and he kind of dove to the bottom of the block and give me the whole outside of the racetrack, and I tried to take advantage of it. It just didn't work out. Got too tight there, and we banged a little bit, knocked the front end out, but that's the way it goes sometimes.
Comes the rocket, the Apollo rocket, Ed Lynch Jr. Yield to L. Fast time of the night.
Learnerville has one of the largest spectator capacities on the All-Star Trail. Four-time local winner Ed Lynch barked his criner inside Saldanha with an especially entertaining commercial truck and trailer dash.
Lynch now coming back at him, though, on the inside. Joey Saldanha and Ed Lynch Jr., a couple of second-generation drivers, wheel-to-wheel at the stripe for the first two. Lynch with the slight advantage now, powers out into the lead. Saldanha's not done. He's coming back on the outside. Maybe he'll drive to the inside. No, Eddie moves upstairs.
Well, we always name all of our cars, and this car's name is Burnt Toast because it caught on fire up at Sharon at the last All-Star show. So we call it Burnt Toast, but the motor's name is Howard, and we're glad to be in Victory Lane, and that had to be as exciting for the fans as it was for Joey and I. I mean, you couldn't see much better racing than that, and I think because I knew the track a little bit better, that's how I knew where the sweet spots were.
There seemed to be something to Scott's superstition as Jones lapped Charlie Holben en route to winning the B. After a 3-week All-Star absence, Shepard was back and on the Butler-built pole when Lynch flopped the first 6. When the green dropped, Jeff was girl chasing in the first corner.
And Sarah Fisher jumps out in front in car number 9. Fisher into turn number 3 and 4, comes off the bottom of the racetrack, and whoa, leads number 1. Shepard right there in the 4 Jag. Now Fisher off the pace a little bit, and Jeff Shepard goes out into the lead. Sarah gathers it back up now. Dean Jacobs on the outside at car number 92. Races into the second spot at the end of lap number 2.
The battle over 5th place put Lynch and Jacobs on William Kiley into turn 3. Lynch had the cleaner line and distanced himself from Kenny, who hauled down the front stretch and slid to a stop. Jacobs signaled traffic to please avoid contact. Around the top of turn 4, Lynch laid tracks around Kaufman, demoted to 4th after winning this race in '95.
With a full head of steam, a clear track in front of him and Jeff Shepard has taken the opening race in the Western PA Sprint Speed Week.
4th in his native Maryland, Shepard departed New York one night early and had fallen out at Lincoln in the events leading into Learnerville. After more rain at Pittsburgh, the proposed 5-race series concluded at Tri-City, an original 1970 All-Star oval of Bud Miller's now surveyed by the Jacobs brothers, Fred Raymer and Keith Kaufman. Speed Week reunited 71 Tri-City winner Bobby Allen with Jimmy Hawley, Brad Ellenberger, and the number 1 of Brian Stapp. Al Hamilton, 77, had taken 16 wins before Fred Raymer was welcomed into the Tri-City Speedway.
I'm glad to be here. We were here last year, a real nice facility. We were on our way to Learnerville Friday, and the Williams Grove wouldn't cancel. We got out to Breezewood and had to turn around and go back and try and do that points deal there. But we like running with the All-Stars. I love Learnerville, and I like racing here, so hopefully we'll have a good night.
Ed Lynch warmed his engine and talked about the track on which he won the previous Sunday.
Well, Tri-City is a pretty demanding track where you have to drive the car the whole race long because it's not really an oval. It has some different turns to it.
I was watching the front stretch, got a little bit of a bend to it. Do you race here much during the year?
I've run here 3 times, I think. We were just jumping around whenever we weren't running an all-star race. We were around here.
Okay, time trial is always important with the All-Stars. What do you think is going to happen there? What'd you pull?
Well, I pulled number 34. That's right in the middle, and I think that's the perfect spot to be with this overcast like this.
The way it stands right now, we're going to run 4 heat races. 4 heat races.
Rick Nichols told 39 drivers how it was going to be. Quickest here a month earlier, Shepard lowered the Franklin track record. Awarded another 1,000 quarters, Jeff was pleased to pull a 4.
That means you'll start fourth to get into the heat.
Fans were just falling out of the sky to see Western Pennsylvania Speed Week. Brad Ellenberger led the opening heat race down the front chute until the front wing support surrendered. Later in the same race, Shepard showed his muscle by powering under the Guzzo 77 of Craig Rankin and Kaufman to win going away. It's not easy to walk around a dirt track in high heels. Fireworks lit up the last Sunday of spring, and a cloak of gunpowder hung over the front row of Ed Lynch and Kenny Jacobs contesting $5,000. The leaders were dead even down the front, but Jacobs held his ground and squeezed into command. In the same spot of lap 7, Shepard circled Lynch for second place, then knifed under Scott Bunnell. By lap 17, Jeff had drawn close to Jacob as the leader dealt with the task of lapping James Ray. Eight laps later, Kenny carried himself deep into turn 4 and Shepard flashed inside. They carried their game of chicken so far that both nearly skipped over the edge. Rolling around to accept the white flag, 11 starting Raymer left Saldana hanging in 5th place. Shepard's 11th career All-Star victory swept the abbreviated series for an extra $1,000.
There he goes. Ed, hey, a nice run. Still got that third. Tied what you did at Learnerville. Nice job.
Thank you very much. The car felt pretty well. I think we had something for him before that yellow. Looked like we were really coming, and then the yellow, we just held our own, and Jeff got better.
Before that, and
Tri-City promoters joined Learnerville leaders Ouch Rennick and former pro wrestler Arch Hunter at the close of Western Pennsylvania Speed Week. The degree of banking at KC Raceway was illustrated by Dean Jacobs. Set in the hills between Chillicothe and Ashland, Kentucky, KC is tilted like a southern stock car track. Gold leaf lettering announced the first race for Judy Bates since Knoxville. 3 1/4 pounds was this Goodyear left rear reading. There is no shortage of wheel spacers on the jack handle of the champion. After winning at KC with the Brown 99, Charlie Fisher had his own creation besides son James. The brake rotor was personally inspected by All-Star guest Don Kreitz, 4th the previous night at Williamsgrove. Making sure wheels were tight was basic preparation for Randy Kinser's 98 All-Star debut. Imagine, if you will, how dark the pits were before women were permitted. Though it was not yet summer, Burt was beginning to crack. Frankie Kerr ran fluid through his wing hydraulics after a night without.
Well, we was running topless last night. We ran a USAC show at Attica, and it looked real good, and then our tires sealed up and run third. That was just something to do.
You like doing that?
Yeah, it breaks it up. It's something different.
Dean Jacobs had a shot at winning the Attica USAC event until Tony Elliott's revenge on 86 All-Star Kevin Thomas carried Dave Darlin into Dean, who then went blind with rage. Chillicothe's close proximity to the Bluegrass State helped pack it to capacity for the only pairing of Stars late models with the All-Star sprint cars. What the fashion conscious are wearing. Mark Goodfleisch held the Brown 99 ahead of Jacobs in the opening heat race when Chad Kemenoff bounced down the backstretch. After sweeping KC and Flag City 2 weeks earlier, the son of 84-86 All-Star King was 8th in the previous night's USAC race, but was all done tonight. Dean Jacobs had a good blast of momentum down in the south end of the speedway until he lifted for Judy Bates and slipped over the edge. Kenny Jacobs pocketed $500 for an 11-18, then drew 4 to put Mark Keegan and Kerr in row 1. On the start, Randy Kinser got loose in the Jim Neer, who bottled up Kaufman to form some sort of sprint car sculpture. The next try at starting the 40-lapper found Frankie and Mark virtually dead even into turn 1 and on down the tree line backstretch where Keegan was finally able to stretch a slight lead.
Frankie Kerr, but it's Keegan now. Keegan, Kerr, Kenny Jacobs, Joey Saldana. Kenny Jacobs has just taken over the lead in that car number 94.
Second here a week earlier, Keegan led a furious battle between Kerr and Saldana for third place. Down the bank back chute, Kerr looked under Keegan as Joey kept his head of steam upstairs. Saldana then circled Kerr and wiggled into the low groove to slide and stop in front of Racer X. In the battle for third place, Keegan and Kerr displayed backstretch width by splitting Ed Neumeister.
Kerr in 23 and really beginning to move up as he goes into the third spot now.
As Kerr dismissed Keegan, Saldana was inside Jacobs and swerved around Todd Kane to take the top of the hill.
Battle for number 1 between Saldana and Jacobs, and Saldana is now taking over the lead. Joey Saldana in car number 17, now your leader. Jacobs in 94 now, back to second.
Halfway down, Keegan and 14th starting Kelly Kinser split Nick Neighbor for the fans. Towing in from an Illinois World of Outlaws engagement, Kelly burst by Keegan and Scott Jones before Mark tried to follow, unsuccessfully.
Frankie Kerr really putting the move on Joey Saldana now. Saldana moves down to kind of block him a little bit, continues to lead it. Car number 17, Kerr in 23 is second. Saldana got behind a lap car, and Frankie Kerr has taken over the lead. Frankie Kerr now your leader. Joey Saldana in 17 running second.
Kerr pronounced Stan's New Eagle ready for Ohio Speed Week by ending an 8-race losing streak.
Anyway, the last couple weeks have been kind of hurt myself up there in South Dakota. Just now starting to feel better. This wind certainly makes me feel a lot better.
The Philadelphia native had never before conquered KC's banks twice during the same season. Early arriving motorhomes overlooked the Eldora anniversary event that began 8 evenings of consecutive All-Star mayhem. Eldora is no longer officially part of Ohio Speed Week. Australia's Brooke Tatnell and Memphis mechanic Gary Deuce Terrell entered Eldora after racing in Oklahoma City 4 nights earlier. Bobby Allen won the initial Eldora World of Outlaws event 20 years earlier and was Bert's first All-Star champion in 1980. 2 weeks after trying the Springfield Mile, Brian Paulus of Pennsylvania was inside Eldora. The G-Man, Kevin Gobrecht, was another PA Posse rider putting on the hard hat to go to work. Quickest at 13:41, Kenny Jacobs selected Nichols number 8 as announcer Rick Lejeune sympathized. Sarah Fisher was trying to catch Dean Jacobs in the Southwest Express Line second heat when she caught his shrapnel instead. Dean tumbled down to get drilled by Dave Freed, causing a hush to fall over the crowd. Everyone exhaled when the prior night's Attica ace kicked clear of the carnage. And carnage it was. Summer had officially begun, and with it, an electrical storm simmered near Lake Salina. Junior Holbrook fielded the 98 debut of Rocky Hodges, 9 years removed from Eldora's All-Star win circle, but quite capable of schooling a rookie when a transfer is at stake. Dean Jacobs boarded a backup to make the A from the B. Fellow heat race collider Dave Freed fell 1 short. Sarah and Frankie were up front ahead of Kaufman and Gobrecht. Fisher beat Kerr to the green, and Frank stepped wide before Kevin could do the same.
Down the backstretch, Sarah Fisher takes command early. The chase is on as they battle for position in the middle of the pack. Round one, it's Sarah Fisher. Frankie Kerr second. Goldbrecht up to third ahead of Kaufman. Kenny Jacobs falls to the number 5 spot. Fisher with 3 lap cars ahead. Here comes Kerr. Goldbrecht in pursuit. The lap cars will play a factor down the backstretch as Kerr moves in now, and Sarah Fisher. Kerr goes inside, Fisher outside, or side by side to do the splits on lap traffic. Kerr takes the lead. Here comes Sarah Fisher underneath. Kerr now in the lead in turn number 1. Fisher underneath Kerr. They're in heavy traffic. Behind them is Goldbrecht. Here comes Keith Kaufman. Here comes Kenny Jacobs, Joey Saldana. The top 6 drivers all heavy in traffic, following leader Frankie Kerr off of turn 4. Goldbrecht up to the number 2 spot. Sarah Fisher runs in third. Kenny Jacobs fourth. As the leaders will have to weave through traffic down the backstretch. Kerr is opening up now. Frankie Kerr, the leader, off of turn 4. Meanwhile, Saldana all crossed up in turn 4. Yellow flag, yellow flag. Jacobs making up some ground. He's on the rear bumper of Kerr, goes inside off turn 4. They're side by side once again. There's the front stretch into turn 1. It's Kerr riding top side. Jacobs tries to make a move on the inside, falls off the pace again by 3 car lengths. And now here comes Kenny Jacobs up on the rear bumper of Kerr off the number 2 corner. Now getting close into turn 3. Jacobs tries to slide move, goes down underneath, takes over the lead. Kenny Jacobs takes the lead from Kerr. It's now Jacobs up front. Kerr tries to get it back inside Jacobs. Kerr slides it high. Jacobs on the outside takes the lead back.
9 laps from the end, Jacobs, Kerr, and Kaufman opened the butterflies as a resurgent Saldana stormed back.
Joey Saldana runs the bottom of the racetrack and goes all the way up to 4th, and now Sarah Fisher tries to get it back and does. So Sarah Fisher gets 4th back, and Saldana's working on that spot, all following the lead 3. Saldana back up to 4th. All by himself off of 3 and 4, coming down for the checker flag, Kenny Jacobs. Second, Frankie Kerr. Third will be Keith Kaufman.
Kenny Jacobs registered his 16th Eldora All-Star victory for Tim Hughes after taking 14 with Ed Reno, Dick Hammond, Tom Wimmer, Dan Motter, Warren Johnson, and Denny Ashworth. The 16th annual Ohio Speed Week raised its curtain at Flag City Motorsports Park, which had been part of all but the first Speed Week. People come from far and wide for the 7-day sprint car celebration. The gods were smiling down on Flag City as 46 cars opened the series. Jim Darley walked the pup just a few miles from the car's Finley shop. Butch Schroeder qualified better than he had all season.
Fast time of the evening.
The Ragin' Cajun, Louisiana's Jason Johnson, teamed with Indiana's Bill Pembleton, only to end their speed week before it began. Finley's former owner-operator Earl Baltus, who first conceived Speed Week, chatted with its current boss, Billy Paxton. To some kids, catching a GM powertrain Frisbee from Keith Kaufman is the best part of an all-star show. Daugherty Trucking would miss the main when Kevin Huntley dumped during the B. Bob Cockrell and Brian Smith stopped for the red.
They're bunched up on the start. Green flag is waving. We got one car on its side. Looks like everybody's going to get around. Says Frankie Kerr. We'll lead them back to the green flag. They're on the hammer out of 4. Green flag is waving. Kenny Jacobs in the 94 car with a nice jump up to second. Dean Jacobs, though, back on the bottom as they race side by side.
Third quick, Brooke Tatnell was loose into turn 1 and saved his spin by catching the right rear of Kelly Kinser's car. Both Brooke and Kelly were eliminated. On the 4th time around, 10th quick Saldana slid between John Ivey and ex-Mox pilot Tim Allison.
Saldana and John Ivy doing battle now. Saldana working the bottom of Tim Allen out at turn number 4 down the front stretch side by side, wheel to wheel into turn number 1. Joey Saldana now goes low, tries to pull a slide job, can't get it done out at turn number 2. Frankie Kerr still leading. Good battle for second between Kenny Jacobs and Joey Saldana. Saldana now looking low. He's got the position. Jacobs, though, fighting back on the outside. He got squeezed to the wall. Saldana takes the position.
Kerr followed wheel-standing Tim Kern across the finish line.
And you got to like your chances of winning Speed Week for 1998 as you really had a great night tonight.
Well, my car owner said, if we don't do nothing else this year, win Speed Week for me. And I said, okay.
Frankie was all smiles over a new Davy Brown-powered Eagle that had notched 2 wins in 3 starts.
Well, thank you again. Congratulations and good luck to you for the rest of the Speed Week. I know you got it in you to win it.
After Wayne County was rained out, wet weather threatened Skyline Speedway in Ohio's southeast corridor. The 91 Speed Week show was the only time the All-Stars had been to Athens County. Kenny Jacobs, third here in 1977, had his overseas helmet cinched down tight to keep the Speed Week crown from Kerr.
Yeah, we were pretty good, Finley there. We had everything dialed in, and hopefully it'll continue.
Obviously, you're the point leader here at Ohio Speed Week since we only had 1 race. Is it important to you to win that Speed Week?
Yeah, my owner wants us to win it. It's kind of important to him. And we were just kind of hoping all week rained out after the first night, but no.
Darrell Tate, who had been to Skyline with Chris Gurley, talked with Saldana and Mox. More Hoosiers named Kinser conferred. Dean Jacobs belted into another new Ashworth Schnee.
Well, we put together a brand new car, and we took apart a brand new car too. We tore it up pretty good there. Just got in the corner too high, too hard, and got on the right front, and the brakes weren't real good yet, and just got her in a fence. And guess that happens to them new cars just like the old cars.
What about this place, Skyline?
I don't know. We was here a few years back. It got real slick that time, but I've talked to a lot of kids around home that come in here racing local shows. That's been pretty nice. It looks a little dry now. We'll just have to see. We drew a good pill to qualify, so hopefully that'll play to our advantage.
If it gets a little bit too dry, you can always go down the infield, maybe get a little bit of moisture, huh?
There's plenty of moisture in the infield. I pity anybody gets in there. I think they're in trouble.
Keith Kaufman was part of the very first Speed Week in 1983. The crowd responded well to the rare All-Star appearance. Lonnie Darst did a donut qualifying on a surface that was sealed to repel the rain. Water was everywhere except in the track. In United Express Line Heat number 1, Kelly Kinser locked horns with Keith Kaufman.
Kinser around Kaufman, but here comes Kaufman right back for more. Kelly Kinser gets back down the inside, tries to make the move again on Kaufman as they head up the action. Kelly Kinser down to the inside of Kaufman off of turn number 4. He's got the job done out of 4. Kelly Kinser still leading it. Kaufman goes back down the inside. Kaufman once again takes over the lead off of turn number 2.
On the aborted start of the second heat race, Jonathan Stevens climbed the back of Marty Ling when the yellow appeared. Even dry slick Professor Bobby Allen lost his unpainted tail. Bobby Clark helped him lose it a second time in the second heat. During the B, Landon Stovers found himself submerged in the swamp. Later in the same United Express Line event, Scott Jones looked back on where he'd been. Brett Mann was quickest at 13:69 and drew an 8 to make a pole sitter of Tim Kern moments after Tim took his first career commercial truck and trailer dash. Saldana arced out to the wall and dove into turn 1 with the lead. Neer pulled inside Stevens to secure third off turn 4. 3 laps later, the former Skyline winner has taken position under Kern when Kane laid over.
He got his left front over that big mud berm on the bottom there and broke the left front off the car, and I seen him start digging in the mud there, and I knew he was in trouble, and I just flopped over on the side. I'm sure he's okay.
Sure enough, the former high school wrestler scrambled free.
Okay, during the quiet, we got a red flag. Dean, if you were out there, or what are these guys doing?
I'm sure them guys, a lot of them are probably siping their tires up so they can keep the heat in them, get the heat right back in them when they start to race back up. Probably telling Joey just to be patient and run the car just like he's been doing, because he's rolling around there nice and easy. When you're out front there by himself, he don't have no traffic, it's making it real easy. And most of the guys are probably siping their tires. I'm not sure there's a whole lot they can do to their cars right now. And I don't think anybody's really that bad. I don't know how good you can do when the track's this bad. It's just hard to pass. So they're probably not doing a whole lot, just trying to talk over how they can pass.
What's siping their tires?
Siping their tires, I take a grooving iron, and instead of putting a groove in the tire, it's actually just like a knife, 2 little knife holes, and this puts a slice down through the tread itself. And what it does, it lets the heat enter the rubber a lot quicker, and the more heat you can get into them, then the quicker the tire will take off. And then also it'll let, on a yellow flag, it'll let the heat back out of the tire, so it'll cool down and it'll take off again. Yeah, Joey's got his wing cranked back pretty far. I notice a lot of the guys do. It's so slick. Only way they're getting any forward drive is get that wing back, get that rear tires planted in the racetrack. I noticed Kevin Huntley made a pretty good charge there, and it looked like I said, Brett Manor, that fast time started 8th. He's really backed up. He must have had some problems in the first few laps.
Kelly Kinser, who crashed here last year, was under near on the front stretch and off of turn 2. 2 laps later, Kinser stuck low in the front chute again to get beneath Kearns. Kearns' turn at the front vanished when Randy Kinser passed high as Jim Neer scooted low. Kinser and Saldana split Hud Horton down the back as Kelly blocked Joey off the bottom and into the black ice. At the line, Kelly lapped Horton a second time and deposited $4,000.
We really need that. You know, we had a bad night Sunday night and got in a little crash and went to tail and bent something, so this turned things around, and I'm just glad we got it.
You look good working the bottom. The track come around for you.
Well, the dash, I tried a little harder tires, and man, I couldn't get out of the way of the push truck, so I just went a little softer rubber, and that's about all I did, and the old car took off.
Kinser's first victory lane of the All-Star season contained Jean Lynch, back from Florida to stage her second Skyline All-Star promotion. Third place was the best of Neer's All-Star season. The Gene Davis 99 of Greg Wilson ambled by as Kenny Jacobs climbed the hill. Jonathan Stevens took third 3 nights earlier at KC Raceway, where Saldana employs a simple strategy.
Drive as hard as you can. That's what I try to do everywhere. It's just some tracks don't let you drive too hard. Like last night, the harder you drove, the slower you went, and I had to figure that out. And once I figured that out, we kind of got going pretty good. And here, it don't matter if it gets slick or not. You can drive real hard, and the harder you drive, usually the faster you go.
0, Jim Neer. And it looks like he's got a problem right off. Jim Neer out of Piketon, Ohio. Need to check that driver out immediately.
On the replay, Jim got near the edge and hooked his right rear on the tractor tires. In the KSE C main, steering became a problem for Scott Jones. From a turn 1 perspective, Jones went downhill fast. Steeler fans don't bruise so easily.
Then it looks like Scott Miller in 5M, and Miller got it sideways. Scott Miller. Certainly a big problem there, and Jonathan Stevens involved in that.
Fireworks dotted the first evening of July as Chillicothe waved to the All-Stars. Jacobs was fastest again to put his brother and Saldana on the front row for 30 laps.
Joey Saldana out front early now. Keith Kaufman in the U2. Dean Jacobs in 92. Jacobs sliding high now. Kenny Jacobs goes into the 3rd spot.
Frankie Kerr began to make the bottom work by dropping Dean to 5th place. Saldana made a final trip through turns 3 and 4 to seal a first KC win since his 1995 Went Trucking campaign.
Well, I'm just glad to be here. I've been running second all the time and never thought I'd win again, so luckily we're here.
Darrell Tate, Australians Kathy Barrows and Steve Fitzpatrick, Shannon and Joey Saldana, and Steve Mock filled victory lanes. Sharon Speedway hosted the 70th All-Star program since 1981, which was when the spacious half-mile of asphalt was coated with dirt. Sharon has been a cornerstone of Speed Week except for 3 summers when rain intervened. Dean Jacobs kicked a little dust on the hot afternoon. Western PA Speed Week racer Scott Bonnell did Ohio Speed Week also. The Lots 11X of Tim Allison was reflected in their chrome air tank. Hawkeye-turned Hoosier Rocky Hodges holds 26 All-Star wins. In the second heat race, 1984 Sharon winner Gary Edwards spun the Schuler 61 into the inside guardrail. Chad Kemenaugh held the dash checkered in one hand and missed Sharon Speedway in the other. Kenny Jacobs inverted 4, but Brian Ellenberger and Dean Jacobs both had problems that elevated Kerr and Kenny to the front row.
Taking the lead will be at 94, Kenny Jacobson will go to 23 of Frankie Kerr. Third will be the 17 of Joey Saldana, then the 15 of Chad Kemenaugh.
Saldana maintained third until tangling with Brian Smith, who received a blast from 5th place Kaufman as Lynch also parked while 6th. The Lynch mob's problems ran deeper than a left rear flat, but did not require a double hook like the U2. Kevin Gobrecht last night on Ohio Speed Week launched himself beside Jimmy Hawley to lay claim to the 4th spot. Dean Jacobs stopped and would not restart after sailing to 6th from dead last. On the restart, Gobrecht's soft McCreary came to life and carried him by Hawley and Kemenaugh. Chad managed to keep Kevin at bay as they went toe-to-toe over the 3rd place. Gobrecht's Eagle led Kemenaugh into 3 before Chad answered back. On the front stretch with 4 laps left, the spot belonged to the G-Man.
2 laps to go for your race leader. Here comes Frankie Kerr. Kerr now on his dirt for out of third, too. Down the backstretch we go. Kenny Jacobs, Frankie Kerr. They have lap traffic in front of them. Kerr down to the inside of Jacobs over turn 4. Off of turn 4, we'll have a new race leader. Will be the 23 after Frankie Kerr. Picking up this Sharon Speedway leg of Speed Week will be Frankie Kerr.
I thought maybe you were going to have to settle for second, didn't you? For a while there, I thought I was. You know, on long runs, I was actually a little better. I could catch him. Then that yellow came out, and I thought, man, I don't know if I'm going to get him or not. We got up the traffic there, and he couldn't move, I guess, and I just took it, and I thought the checker waving was the weight. I thought, you know, I better run one more lap.
Kerr had beaten another track that once broke his back. 5th place marked Kane's best of the All-Star season. Lima Land Motorsports Park has become the Friday home of 360 sprint cars, yet promoter Greg Stolley summoned the All-Stars to stage his only 410 program of the year. Lima Land kept its normal Friday night time slot. The Insane Clown Posse played intermission. After skipping Sharon, Jim Neer was back with the All-Stars and Judy Bates. Former All-Star regular Mark Chrisman had Red Dog in the house. Kenny Jacobs was an 83 Lima All-Star winner when turn 1 was turn 4. Joey Saldana is too young to recall such a period, only that Frankie Kerr was leading Speed Week points.
We got a couple tough nights left here. You know, Lima, me and Joey, I think, won both of them last year. And, you know, Attica's anybody's race. We'll have to wait and see. You know, right now we're on a momentum. You know, we're going pretty good. So, you know, I like to say we're going to win it, but I can't tell you that.
1990 Lima All-Star victor Danny Smith was back after an Oklahoma crash for Australia's Steve Brazier.
We were supposed to run Knoxville tonight with the World Outlaws, and they didn't get our motor done in time, so we hadn't missed Speedway for several years, so we drug my car out of mothballs and brought it over.
All right, you're going to run tonight. How about tomorrow night?
Yeah, we're going to run tomorrow night, too.
Attica's a sweet spot for you, huh?
Yeah, that's kind of one thing I miss about running the All-Stars is not running Attica, so we'll get a chance to tomorrow night.
What about Lima Land?
Oh, I like Lima Land. We ran second here in this race last year, so, my motor, my good motor's in the shop, and we got the motor we ran all of last year, and it's a little tired, but hopefully when the track sticks up, we'll be all right.
Must have came up here to get out of the smoke.
IRL rookie David Steele forged a 23rd fastest that put him on the pole of a Southwest Class heat race that he did not lose. During his heat race, Dean Jacobs roared down off the Lima banking and fenced Fred Boso of Indiana. The United Specialties final heat race saw Brian Paulus over Kelly Kinser and into the catch fest. In the replay, Brian's left front climbed Kelly's right rear. Paulus appraised his own damage. Rob Cheney took the last transfer out of the B away from Sarah Fisher until the little lady tore it back. Again, Cheney used turn 1 to assume fourth. And again, Sarah sailed underneath him. This time, she spooked Rob over the cushion. Four abreast saluted the fourth straight Lima Land Speed Week stop. Kerr clocked the first ever Lima lap of 10 seconds, but inverted 8 to hand the pole to 91-95 Lima All-Star winner Kelly Kinser. Saldana whipped around Kelly, exiting the second corner.
Joey Saldana takes over first place.
Kenny Jacobs spun to spark a total restart.
There they come out of turn number 4. The green is out. Saldana takes an early lead, followed by Kinser. Kevin Huntley in third spot. Here comes Alvin Rupke.
Hometown hero Tim Allison was outside Dean Jacobs when he caught the wall and tumbled back to get blasted by Nick Neighbor as David Steele smashed John Hawk. The corner was literally littered with mangled metal. On the replay, it was raining race cars. A third attempt at starting the 30-lapper found another yellow for a spinning Scott Jones, who continued near sad Speed Week saga.
Scott Jones getting turned around down there in turn number 2. Jimmy Neer had nowhere to go. He hits the car and he gets upside down. Looks like Jimmy's out of the car. Green is out. Kelly Kinser, Joey Saldana, Kevin Huntley, Keith Kaufman. It's Kinser, Saldana, Huntley, and Kaufman.
Halfway point, 15 laps in.
Down on the inside of Kelly Kinser goes Joey Saldana to take over the lead. It's Saldana, Kinser, Kevin Huntley. Oh no, and the leader spins down in turn number 3.
On the restart for Saldana's error, Scott Jones pushed wide of turn 2 and ricocheted off the wall. With 10 laps to go, Kaufman held third in front of Dean and Frankie before Jacobs could not resist a third turn dive.
Here comes Kevin Huntley making a run after Kelly Kinzer. Huntley down underneath Tim Kearns. And he's down on the inside of Kelly Kinzer. Kinzer takes the lead back. Kelly Kinzer, Huntley down on the inside. He takes over the lead. Here comes Kelly Kinzer. He says, no, you're not going to take that lead. Kelly Kinzer, Kevin Huntley. Down on the inside, Huntley's got the lead. Whoa, Kinzer tags the wall coming out of turn number 4. The white flag is out. He's out of the car, number 7, Kevin Huntley.
We got you. Kevin, if I can get a second with you. What a race.
Yeah, I love these kind of racetracks, man. You can set up in the seat and really go at it. This is my deal here. We've been struggling a little bit. We changed the car around a little bit tonight, and we were pretty nice. Kelly, I didn't think I was going to be able to get by Kelly. We got in traffic, and I got lucky.
Huntley had his first Lima All-Star win since a 94 score for Lima-based Jim Wally. After another grueling speed week, fans settled into Attica Raceway Park for the conclusive card. Brian Smith had made 2 of Speed Week's 5 features. Kelly Kinzer hot lap by trying to cushion and spoke of the previous night's loss.
Well, it's just a little bit heavy and rough for me up there where I had to run, but that was a fast line, and just had to go for it and see what we could do, but come up a couple laps too a little short.
You were the winner at Skyline. I thought you were going to take it last night. What about this 10 grand show at Attica?
Well, we all want to win that, so I thought about it a lot today. I've worked hard on it, the car, and we'll just see how things go, and maybe we can get it.
What would Kelly Kinzer prefer? What kind of track conditions?
Well, it's kind of overcast today. We kind of handle them pretty good down our Skyline when it's bone slick, but I like them a little slicker. Last night was kind of a rodeo thing, but I just prefer them a little slicker. But we'll just take what we can get.
Back in April 4th, we saw a guy take a tumble down the front stretch, but let me tell you, I've seen him at the races. I think he's ready to go. The only thing holding him up is this leg here. Byron Reed, how you doing, bud?
Oh, not too bad. Yeah, it's getting a little antsy now that I feel a lot better, but I still got a ways to go in my recovery. I just 2 weeks ago got bone grafted off my hip onto my leg, so it's going to be a little while yet.
So what, we're going to watch this season, get healed up really good, and come back full force next?
It's hard to say. I mean, that would be the correct thing to do probably, but if I feel if I get to walking, I feel real good, I might try to, get a couple races in.
275, first lap on Miller. Look out as he catches the wall hard off at turn number 4.
See Rick Nichols here. Looks like it's time for the inversion draw. Again, a 4, 6, and an 8. And Kenny has a chance. Kenny says there's no 4. Oh, no! He drew the 8. So 8 will be the inversion. Hey, if the car's hooked up, it doesn't matter here at Attica, does it? Well, I think it's 40 laps tonight, and we drew an 8 at Eldora Saturday and won that, so maybe 8's my lucky number.
Third heat race action saw Brian Smith try Attica's half-mile cinder track.
And look out, Kane is upside down off of turn number 2.
In the replay, Kane hooked the cushion and ended his latest Bob Hampshire stint. Jimmy Stinson held a transfer from the B until his brown 99 was booted off turn 4.
Your field now into turn number 3. We'll turn them loose. They reach 4. They're there. Green's out. Here we go. The field off and underway. It'll be Paulus leading them down into turn number 3. Off at turn number 4, Paulus leading lap 1 as Jacob sweeps outside a curve for the number 2 spot.
Exiting turn 2, Kaufman took third from Frankie Kerr.
Well, now Kerr starting to backpedal a little bit. Dean Jacobs, the big time slide job up into 3 and 4. Ah, yellow flag. Now Paulus balks mid-track and Dean Jacobs slides by. Jacobs, your new leader. Stover goes a lap down the 2M. Now Kaufman pulls alongside Paulus for the number 2 spot. Kaufman tries the bottom side and will take second spot away from Paulus.
The best career All-Star performance by Paulus came back at Kaufman for the second spot. He held second off of turn 2 and into 3 where Kaufman squeezed him down.
Your leader trying to slash through heavy traffic as Kaufman and Paulus still dice it out for that second spot. Upside down, we've got Schroeder in the 17. And it looks like Stevens in the 4J red flag.
The Cinderella story was over for Paulus as the red flag also claimed 4th place Schroeder and 5th place Saldana.
So Kenny Jacobs 4th, Huntley in the number 5 spot. No, give the 3rd spot to Kenny Jacobs.
Kenny's march from 8th place got around Kerr exiting turn 2.
Kaufman trying to close the gap. Kenny Jacobs trying to find some room on the bottom around Kaufman. Side-by-side battle for the second spot as Kaufman now takes the bottom away from Jacobs. 5 laps to go signal, giving your field that time by. 5 to go. Good race for the number 2 spot. Final lap as Jacobs is ready to pocket $10,000. Off at turn number 4, Jacobs will win it. Kaufman 2nd, Kenny Jacobs 3rd, Kerr 4th.
$10,000, Attica Speedway. Way to go, bud.
Thanks a lot. I think we talked about this at Skyline. You know, if we could just come here and win this big race and make up for a bad week we're having. By God, we got her done. Gene gave us a fantastic racetrack. Race car was fast, and you know, if we just run as good as we go, and it was good enough. Got up there to catch Joey, got in a crash early, I got there to lap him. I got worried because I couldn't lap him. You know, he's fast too, and he's like any other good racer. He don't want to get a lap down, a yellow come out, so that got a little worried there, running the bottom a little bit, and didn't see nobody, so I guess it was all right.
You had a pretty rough week, but this definitely makes up for it.
Yeah, when you start off crashing a race car, especially a brand new car like that, that makes it an awful tough start. And then we had motor troubles, and find out the motor in the crash car was hurt. And I actually put my motor in the car now, and it run great. So just like to say thanks, Earl Gertie has a good motor.
Attica promoter Gene Frankert was at the left of Dean's 4th victory lane of the All-Star season.
Speed Week point champion, 23S, Frankie Kerr. What is this, the 4th time now?
Something like that, 4th or 5th, I'm not really sure. You know, like the one tonight, you know, we set up for the long run with no cautions and no reds, and it really killed us. And but we had a really great week, you know, 2 wins and another Speed Week championship. You know, this is a tough week, and if you can win Speed Week over and over, you know, it proves our team's pretty strong.
Tina Jacobs could not wait to get out of victory lane and start spending that 10 grand. We wrap up tape number 1 with Kenny Jacobs on top of the points after 36 events over Joey Saldana. Please join us for tape number 2.